be standing in the rain, like holding a big metal rod to unscrew everything. You're like, well,
I have a stainless steel umbrella. I don't know why. Yeah, but I hold it out there. It keeps me company. My
I want
kids
to
have
stay dry.
my kids have umbrellas, dude. Like Heather got them new umbrellas, and there must be some new. They're like a dome. They come all the way down.
Oh,
And like you're like really inside it. It's pretty cool. Instead of like, you know how they're normally like out, this one comes like out and down.
Oh,
this
nice.
is umbrella talk on
No
Dishes Are Done.
No,
Did we just start re-recording?
WRAINE. Yeah. No, we're still going.
Yeah, but it only says 43 seconds.
How long have we been talking? Maybe we've been...
And it did like skip.
Maybe we've been just enjoying ourselves.
And it went by that slow?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't start it again. I think we've just been...
Well, whatever.
Flying
if
along.
We did start again, we're here. Yeah. We're live. We're going to get to some good...
Whatever.
Advice seekings.
Maybe the audience just isn't good enough right now. Everybody listening right now isn't good enough to have heard the first minute. If you wanted the first minute, you should have subscribed already and been notified of that first minute.
It's it'll be a secret minute.
Secret minutes.
Sounds
the special umbrella minutes.
God,
it's an umbrella exclusive. Actually, those umbrellas. Funny story. Before our wedding, we were worried that it was going to rain, and so Kelly had picked out an umbrella that was at Walmart, and it was a clear dome umbrella. And she was like, oh, I need one for, me and all of the bridesmaids, and I guess maybe the groomsmen too. And I was like, okay. We had a pretty large bridal party, and so it was something like 14, 15 umbrellas I had to go find, and each Walmart had between 1 and 3.
Oh, gross.
So I went around to every Walmart in the vicinity. Like I just kept going around. I went into like New Jersey and just drove around, got 3 there, got 4 there. I remember somebody had stuck bubble gum in it, and I'm like, do I get this one or do I leave it? Like it's another, $10 of gas for me driving to the next Walmart. I'm almost there. And so I ended up getting them all, and I had this big stack of all these umbrellas, and then it didn't rain because I got all the umbrellas.
Yes. And, it's a million umbrellas and it didn't even rain.
I prayed to Saint Morissette, and everything worked out fine. Patron saint of irony. Yeah. So it all it all worked out, and then we returned them all. And they were like, how did you get so many? And I was like, I can't answer these questions. But every time I see somebody with them, I'm like, I remember.
Did you return them to all the specific Walmarts?
Have you ever been to a Walmart? I just dropped them on the table, and I was like, take these back. I don't like
connected.
them.
You're connected.
Why do you have 15? There shouldn't be 15 in one Walmart.
I really thought it was going to rain a lot.
I just took them all back.
That's the funniest thing, returning 15 umbrellas.
I returned so much stuff after our wedding. I returned shoes.
So like it didn't rain.
Yeah, I'm like, I wore the shoes once. You could take the shoes back, please.
You'll never wear them again. Most uncomfortable shoes.
Yeah. So I understand the dome umbrella. I like it. How does it hold up in the, because I'm very particular with my umbrellas. I hate when you get to a day where umbrellas don't work. Are you being funny? No, I'm being serious. In fact, if I ever became one of the things I'd like to do if I became a millionaire, or I guess you have to be a billionaire nowadays. If I became a billionaire, millionaire's just like you're the hot dog vendor on the corner. Yeah.
Blue collar.
If I was a billionaire, I'd like to have a big stockpile of umbrellas, and on days where it rains, drive around and hand them out to people.
Ah, that's fun.
I'd like to have like a good faith umbrella handout. Yeah. So then that way it'll also give me stuff to do, and when I see rain, it's pouring today. I just gather up the umbrellas and
I
go
wonder what
out
it
in
is
my
about
DeLorean
umbrellas.
and drop off to everybody.
It's such a strange invention that like hasn't changed. That like, I mean, you know what I mean. But like, it's pretty simple. We've been using them for like, I don't know, probably over 100 years. And it
Mm-hmm.
is fun to hold them.
Definitely.
Like you feel like you have some sort of shield, but like not, you know, I don't know. They're funny. I understand why Seinfeld put that part in the episode where he's like, I invented the twirl. It's like the umbrella is like this almost silly kind of tool that we use.
Oh,
Like we
sure.
all look kind of strange. Mary
Well, I
Poppins.
mean, they also used to have, and I've seen people doing this a lot more. Is they have them as parasols, as to block the sun when it's not even raining. People walking around with umbrellas, and that was really big in China. Everybody had umbrellas because you were just getting scorched by the sun going through the constant pollution,
The
and so
particles.
the particles, yeah, and I guess you were kind of getting rained down on very slowly by a mist. I don't think they stopped that, but I think you were probably getting more sun. It was kind of like a heavy overcast day of greenish black.
Wait, what do you
So,
mean? Like, is it always just like September 12th, you know, where it's just like there's just dirt in the air?
well, they're burning coal, right? So
I don't
they're
know. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're burning coal, so they don't have any trees left. They've burned all the wood, and then now they burn coal to make electricity. So,
And they wear masks pretty much all the time.
I mean,
What
I
oxygen
haven't
are
been
they
there in a few
breathing?
years. I'm sure everybody kind of is now, but
Yeah.
uh, they had a lot of masks on. I had to start wearing a mask while I was there because it was really hard to breathe. We all had lozenges and stuff towards the end, but it was yeah,
They are the empire.
it was crazy. But also there were also some good things like they didn't really have dryers. Like dryers weren't really a thing. Um, which I think is kind of more of an American thing. Like we just can't wait for things to be dry. But everyone else in the world just kind of hangs it up. And and then
And
they
it
had
takes about the same time, according to Mrs. Fisher.
yeah yeah
Remember
it
that
probably
experiment?
I don't yeah, but they come off so stiff. Like I'm the only one who uses the dryer in my family.
Oh, really? Everybody air dries.
Kelly air dries, and so the kids air dry because she handles the kids' clothes. If it was up to me, I don't even know how I dress the kids. Like I would go my grandpop style. I would just bring them into a Walmart and whatever clothes they're wearing that no longer fit, I would just take those off and just put the new clothes on and just have them scan the tags on the way out. Like that it would be in the moment that I would fix the problem. Like she has the foresight to pre-buy their clothes, and I'm like I can't do this. I'm
I
so
know.
glad
Yeah, I
you do
know.
that.
I can't. I'm so shitty at like getting the things ready a week ahead of time that they like require. I'm like, oh, how did you like know that their feet were going to be bigger at this point? You know what I mean?
Is there like a
I'm
book on
like,
this or
oh yeah,
something?
well, I guess, yeah. She hasn't done that in 8 months. There's no way what she used to wear for it fits anymore.
It would be interesting to ask a bunch of parents, ask each parent what shoe size their children are,
Oh my
and
god.
see if they knew. I mean, in
Oh
the
my
early
god.
days, it's easy because everything's by the age, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
They're just wearing 18-month clothes. They're 18 months. They're wearing 18-month clothes,
T2.
and if they've always been bigger, then you're at two T or whatever, right? So it was a lot easier. But after that, I just left. I just left it. I was like, I'm out. I don't know. I don't know what shoe
When
size.
when Hannah and Charlie's underwear started becoming the exact same. Well, when Charlie just started wearing underwear, like, dude,
Yeah.
so Charlie's just like all of a sudden she's like, all right, I'm done with the diapers,
Oh,
and
that's
all of a
awesome.
sudden now has like a million underwear. I'm
Yeah.
just like, you're all wearing the same one. There's no way that
Yeah.
your underwear can be that different in size.
Right.
So it's
So
all the same now.
it's great. It's great. Oh yeah, Ruby and Leo are the same shoe size at the moment. Leo's just past her. His are starting to get bigger, but for a
No way.
while they had the same shoe size, and it was really fun because they would interchange their shoes. They got high tops for basketball, and they would mix and match them,
No way.
which was kind of neat.
So cool.
But now Leo's got bigger feet, so they're so big, it's crazy. And
Oh my God.
we've been we had a struggle. I'll run this by you. We had a not really a struggle, but it's a thing that comes up, and I think we touched on it before. But when we sign them up for things, they kind of might push back, and then we push them to continue or push them to finish. Like, oh, you signed up for
Yeah,
this,
complete.
you're going to complete it, which is really difficult sometimes.
Oh yeah, especially if you have a friend who's telling you to quit.
Oh yeah.
Senior year of high school, when you know you're not going to play in college. It's got to be a pain in the ass to really dig down and free will. I mean, use your own willpower.
Wait. So
All right.
wait. What exactly happened?
I'm comparing it because I remember senior year, I was always like, hey, "Can you just quit so we can hang out more?" Like,
Oh,
just
you
quit the
quit
football team.
football?
And you're like, "I gotta finish. Like, what's the point?" And I'm like, "I know you're better."
I forgot. I honestly always thought you were going to come back. I thought you were going to come back in like a blaze of glory and
I
just,
did too,
you
and then
know.
I saw the people playing, and I'm like, they're gonna destroy me. I'm not big. I'm not, I'm a preteen Swedish.
I mean, I wasn't a preteen Swedish. I, I mean, I wasn't a very good advertisement with my arm dangling behind my helmet, right? Yeah, I was probably like, yeah, everything's fine out there, John. And then, like, I come off of my shoulders
Oh,
behind my arm.
right. You
Yeah.
dislocate. No, it was just, I I tried out sophomore year and I played sophomore year and then in the first scrimmage I like broke my ankle and I was like, I don't like football anymore. I just keep getting hurt.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you'll be out for 5 weeks. It's like, okay, that's the season.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like 3 years off when you're like hitting your growth spurt. I just like didn't have it. I was
Yeah.
like, everyone's faster than me. I'm done.
And they did that like what was it? The early practice that wasn't advertised. I don't know how you were supposed to know about that, but that's basically I guess how you got the starting positions. And so if when you started on the actual first day of practice, everybody was already up and running, and I couldn't understand why everybody was already up and running because they said they had optional practice. They're like, if you want to go to optional practice, but it wasn't optional. Like that's the thing that they didn't. I didn't get enough winks and nudges
Oh
from it.
my God. Yeah. The only reason I knew about that was because of Smith and he quit the first day and I stuck with it for the first 2 weeks. It was like the worst 2 weeks of my life. It was just abuse. It was like an
Yeah,
8-hour football practice. Like I was dead at the end of those things. And then
I
first scrimmage, broken ankle.
I think the only thing that kept me from that was that at LaSalle it was way harder of a practice. Like they actually went out into the woods and we went out to a camp and you had 3 days at the camp and you had to sleep in bunks
With those guys.
and it was tough. Yeah. Yeah, no, one of the guys put me in a rack.
Like
You
Lex
know,
Luger?
yeah. And
Oh
and
my God.
I completely blacked out. Like my spine cracked in a
Yeah.
weird way and I was
And
out
it's
cold.
cutting off your rib cage's oxygen. It's like literally bear hugging you
Yeah.
around your
That's what
shoulders.
it felt like. Yeah, I mean, and this was, the lead lineman or whatever. The guy was huge, um, and I was a freshman, and he just picked me up and put me in the rack, and I was like, I was like a rag doll, and I just felt all of the cracking in my body. It was like crack, 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 and then it was just blacked out, and then I woke up to everybody um, smacking me in the face. Like
Oh
how
my
how kids who
God.
don't
I
want to
don't
get
like
in
this
trouble,
story.
how kids don't want to
Yeah,
get in
like hurry up,
trouble.
wake up,
Like,
you're
wake up,
okay,
hey,
you're
you're
okay.
fine, you're fine. Actually, I mean, from a high school perspective, it was a very fast track to like nobody in that older age then messed with me.
Right.
because they had already
I was just
broken
gonna
me.
say that.
I was a broken vase. You can't.
You came back. Like they put you in the torture rack, Lex Luger torture rack. You passed out,
Yeah,
but then you came back to life. You weren't a bitch, and you didn't tattle.
and I didn't
So yeah,
tattle.
no one's
Yeah.
gonna
Until
bother
right
you anymore.
now. Now I'm
Yeah,
getting
right.
it.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. And I think his name was Jeremy Weinstein. I think his name was. No, I just coming out with the files later on. No, he was just but he was actually cool after that. It was kind of like I got my
Weinstein.
I was just joking. It was a
Oh,
bad joke.
I was like, I didn't think so.
No. No.
No Weinsteins on the football team. Tell you that much.
But he was it was kind of getting your hazing over really, really quickly. So I had 15 seconds of hazing and then it was done. So that was kind of nice.
Oh yeah, that would have been. I don't know. I think that's when I would have been like, okay, yeah, no big deal, and then spin move out of there.
Well, I think I had seen other.
Get me a phone.
There were other kids that were fighting it, and anybody that was fighting it
Okay.
got it way worse. So I was just being agreeable and probably a bit
Submissive.
not submissive as in, you know, whatever you want, sir.
But he put you in a submission hold, and you're like, I'm not going to break out of this.
I mean, I
I'm not
didn't
going
have
to
a
reverse
choice.
this into a cross-faced.
I don't think I had any thoughts in my head. I didn't know what was happening. All of a sudden, I was 6 feet up in the air and sideways. You know, I didn't.
I think the one sole thought is, well, he's not going to kill me. At least. I don't think he'll kill me. And then you're like, that's my spine. Oh.
It was a bit of shock. I mean, it was freshman year of high school, so I didn't thinking that you're going to die is kind of not in your head. You know, you're kind of invincible. You drive recklessly. You go to parties. You drink recklessly. Like you do a lot of reckless things because
your
you're
preconceived.
invincible.
Yeah, your preconceived notions are movies. Right. Like your preconceived what expectations.
Right.
I remember, and that's another season where I started practice, and on like the second day, I was running down a hill, and my knee went like hyperextended, and nothing happened, but it just didn't feel good, and I was like, I don't trust my legs. You know what I mean? Like I'm nervous on my own legs.
I mean, I feel that way just on the stairs now. Like in present day, walking down the stairs, I don't trust my knees. I still go down the stairs in a certain way because one day my knee buckled the wrong way and I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'm just gonna take these one at a time for the rest of my life now. Like what?
Dude, yesterday. And it's like so unrelatable to like everyone in the room. But like I was standing one way and my feet were like planted and I lifted one leg and turned, but didn't like pivot my foot. I just kind of like twisted. Yeah. And I was like, and Heather was like, what? And I'm like, I just felt every tendon and muscle and ligament in my left knee all at once. Like I felt them all go, no, pull back.
It's so funny. It's like we're so right there, like about to lose it all.
Yeah, about for it all to just start breaking permanently, like Louis C.K. No, it won't get better. It's just you can do that. You can lift your ankle, but it sucks now forever. Why? Well, you're 45. That's just what happens.
And that's why I'm kind of that's why we had to move it up for today, because tomorrow night I've got a softball game and then I've got another softball game on Sunday, and two completely unrelated ones, but they just happened to line up, one for Father's Day and one to finish off the T-ball season. And I'm just trying to keep myself in check. You know,
all right, here's my
I don't need to hit a grand slam. I don't need to give it all to run to first base. I don't need to sacrifice my knees.
I have two pieces of advice, because this is what I did, and I fucked myself up playing softball like 10 years ago. But I can see myself, if I didn't do it then, even trying now, because it's like you're going to try to do stuff with your body that it can't do, but like your brain hasn't experienced it yet. So you're like, no, I can.
Yeah.
Don't try to beat out an infield single.
No.
You're going to run so hard, you're going to blow out a quad.
Yeah. I
I
know
like
I
hit the
will.
base and like collapsed and was like, what happened? My leg isn't working. And don't swing at a shitty pitch. Like, even if
Yeah.
it's coming in like 2 miles an hour, but it's 8 feet in front of the plate, don't
Yeah.
run out and try to jack it,
Yeah.
because a rib is gonna come
Oh
loose.
my gosh. I know. Like that's what I mean, the last time I played something, I was playing kickball. And I would think
Uh-huh.
kickball, I shouldn't really be able to be injured during kickball, but I was in the middle of making a triple play, which maybe should be a bit too much effort. I thought to myself, in the middle of it, if you're making a triple play, which is a cool thing to do, but if
Oh
you're
man.
making one in kickball, you're probably trying too hard. Like something something inside of you should say, "Hey, just get the one out and throw it back to the pitcher." But if you're diving to catch the ball, somehow bouncing a ball off a runner to your right and then
Oh,
still trying to get the
get the
force
ball
out,
back.
it's not a I shouldn't have tried that hard. And I just remember getting home and not having legs, and then Kelly just was basically, you're not doing this anymore. You're not going to be alive, and you shouldn't die for kickball. And I was like, yeah, that's
It's
kind of.
like
But it was a
it's
triple
like
play, and she didn't get it.
it's yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, in the moment, I'm gonna jump over a fence. It's so stupid, but it's like that mentality when you're a kid where you're kind of rubber and you can make these like kind of crazy plays. And if you don't keep playing,
Yeah.
you can't just 10 years later be like, I'm the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
My body will respond the same way.
See, I'm having stupid thoughts right now where, since I haven't played since high school, my thought is I've preserved my body and
Right.
now it's my time to shine.
No, yeah, now
You
I'm
know?
like peak. I'm actually in my prime. I've been
Yeah.
resting for 20
Yeah.
years.
I seriously, I spent 2 hours the other day just watching Charlie Huff videos, learning how to throw a knuckleball, because I was like, maybe I could just be a knuckleball thrower, really good, throw it in like 80 something.
80,
Can't 80 something, but
80 mile
it's a
an hour
knuckleball.
knuckleball.
Yeah, and it just kind of dances all over and nobody can hit it, and that's my
Oh,
thing. I don't know, but that's where my thought process is. I'm like, I finally have my calling. I'm so glad I didn't pitch in college. Like, it's such a stupid thought. It's so stupid, but it's what's been in my head.
it's kind of like, I don't know what that is. Maybe because I'm always like, why every season or off season or whatever do we just like pretend the Eagles are gonna go? Like every year we're like, no, we got this guy and this guy's gonna come back and he's not gonna be injured. And I'm like, oh my god, it's just almost impossible. Why do we do it every time? Is it like a Rocky thing? Does every city do it? I'm sure most of them do.
They have to. Yeah, they have to.
It's almost like a tradition. It's like, well, I don't know what else to do.
Well, I think it's also with the kids, you know, we're always dialing it back. I feel like Superman, right? I live in a world of cardboard.
Uh,
When am I actually going to get to let loose?
right.
Right. So I'm
Not pull
throwing
your
I'm
punches.
throwing wiffle balls, right? I'm hitting wiffle balls or throwing baseballs, but I'm always taking something off of it. Like Spider-Man, I'm pulling my punches. When can I finally let loose? And so that's what I'm worried about, since I don't get to swing fully or throw a ball as hard as I can all the time. I'm scared of when I get this opportunity to be around a bunch of adults that I can actually throw a ball to, that
Is
will
it
actually
true?
catch it.
If you don't use it, you will lose it. It's like
That's true.
with
I
the
read that.
rest. It's like the wrestling moves I do with the girls. I'm like, yeah, but when can I really choke slam you? This is not it. But yeah, I know what you mean. You're like, I've been kind of like pretend doing it.
Yeah.
Dude, it reminds me of this story Eric Bischoff tells about one time Ric Flair actually like snapped and like attacked him, but Bischoff didn't know what was going on because Flair was like throwing like fake, like not it was like he didn't know how to really punch him because he
Yeah.
had spent 50 years fake
Oh,
punching
that's
everyone.
crazy.
Isn't that he's like, Bischoff's like, I didn't know what was happening. I thought we were like maybe filming because he wasn't really punching me.
That's
So
got to be
weird.
crazy. That's got to be,
I
yeah,
know.
like he automatically pulled it back.
I can like see that though, because it's
That's nuts.
so, especially a guy like Flair.
Yeah, I mean, after doing it for so long, you might forget how to throw one.
Yeah, and
Just like a real boxer wouldn't be able to stop from throwing one almost, you know?
and the only way you really succeed in that business is if you don't hurt people and you get like the better reputation. Like the Undertaker, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, all their things were like they never hurt anybody. Like they protected everyone doing all their crap.
I feel like Undertaker
So,
almost hurt somebody in his last one, but that seemed a bit close to me, like just a bit wobbly. But he's pretty old, so that's their fault for signing up.
what last one?
When he was doing the pile driver for somebody, I think in WrestleMania, like or the Tombstone, it just seemed a bit like it didn't seem. He's just older. It just seemed a bit like
Yeah.
rickety, you know, like an old chair. You don't think the chair's going to break. Like I didn't think anything was going to go wrong, but it just seemed to have a little bit of give left or right that wasn't there before.
It's like there's a new crack in the chair that we didn't have, and I think that crack will lead to it all.
It's like a rocking
Yeah.
chair you sat down in, and it just squeaked a little too much, but didn't
It was
squeak like it's going to snap. It just
it's just a
very
new
squeaky.
squeak.
Just a new squeak.
It was like he was talking about when he was at WrestleMania 40 and The Rock, and he choke slams The Rock. For some reason, because The Rock wears that belt, like that weightlifting belt, and he like whips Cody Rhodes with it.
Yeah.
He didn't have a real belt underneath for Undertaker to grab when he when they so he kind of like grabbed for it and it wasn't there, and just kind of like he was like, I damn near thumbed his asshole. His podcast is, I mean, he's such a good dude and such a funny guy.
Oh
but
yeah.
his
I can't do
his
anything.
co-host his co-host is rough. His co-host is rough to the guy that kind of like,
is he like a hype guy? Yeah.
It's just not a likable guy. I don't even know. I'm sure he's a nice dude. He seems like a nice guy, but it's just like, stop talking. Let the Undertaker talk. Please, 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 please. I don't care. I don't know you. I don't care about you.
That happens on radio shows a lot, where it's like that somebody keeps talking. And it's like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Like you're not good. I don't like when shows started doing that, where they started taking the people that were, running the sound or doing things. I mean, I know Stern did it, and I think he meant to do it, and he did it because there was a personality there. But then everybody started just pulling in the staff, and it's like you're not
it's fine. It's
you're
like
not
they
talent.
have right. Yeah, right. You're behind the scenes. It's like Letterman did it with the one guy, at the deli.
Oh right,
and then the one like cue card guy, and Jimmy Kimmel has like the one.
Well, that's because those guys were funny though.
Yeah, they had personalities.
They had personalities. So they and also I think in some instances like Kimmel, he's just making fun of him. Like they like it, but they're really just making. He's a funny looking person, and that's what you're getting laughs on.
Sounds funny. He laughs.
He sounds funny. Yeah, right.
He says the last thing that you would think, like that Guillermo is. He's pretty gold. He's pretty unique. Like everything he says, I'm like, what?
It's kind of like what's his name, Ricky Gervais's guy that he used to do the podcast with. What's his name? I can't think of it. I mean, I know Steve. It was him and Steve Merchant.
Is it the guy who looks like he's like made out of claymation?
Yes. Well, they actually made a claymation out of him. I think.
Yeah. He's funny. He had a good show.
But that was again. It was just he would just say things, and Ricky thought it was funny. Like he'd just say ridiculous things, and he just thought it was funny.
Like Jerry and Kramer.
But he was way more open. He's like, I am making fun of you right now, but the guy still wouldn't care.
The genius of Ricky Gervais is that like I don't know. It's like you never know. It's like he's working you and he's shooting you at the same. Like he's telling the truth or he's joking around at the same time all the time. Because a lot of his like
Yeah.
jokes are like he's just saying the facts.
Yeah. He's very
It's
good at
weird.
he's very good at laying everything out and then kind of
And
eight
just saying
miling
like
everything too. He
it's
can't be
all
canceled.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's all funny.
Seinfeld's like
It's
that.
all
I mean,
funny.
Seinfeld's like that too. He's very defensive of the funny. Like it has to be funny.
I know. It's like it's a pretty. I don't know. It's interesting. Like they're just jokes. It's like such a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. Do you want to jump into some of these? Do you want me to even read them or just go? There's some short. There's two appetizers. There's two samplers. There's a mambouge. I don't think that's the right way to say that, but this is the
And a moose bouche.
this and a moose bouge. Thank you. This one's a moist towelette to wipe your face.
I love those. I want more, and I want them to be bigger and hotter.
Looking for polite clapback to comments about our little one size. Mama has been bringing our son 9 month to a mom group for a few weeks. Every time one woman asks how old he is, she says, "Oh, he's small," or something to that extent. My guy is long and lean. Not that we're into the percentiles or worried about anything, but for reference. He's in 94th for height and 30th for weight. She wants to respond politely, but in a way that gets the point across that it's not real cool to make negative is there and it's crossed out comments about a baby's physical appearance.
Like you
And
can't even type the word negative now on the internet. No,
really,
that's offensive.
yeah,
No negative comments, nor the word negative.
I have negated negative. Wait, no, I can't.
Minus.
Strike through will
We'll
be
say
removed
that.
next. Yeah, unless it is, and we are wrong. Edit removing. Oh, here. There's actually a comment here for why negative was removed. Edit removing negative still doesn't change the idea of not talking about physical appearances. I don't think it's polite, regardless of who it is or how old they are. Note: some of y'all don't math well. If he's in the 94th percentile for height, he is not small.
What a sentence.
And then to add,
some of y'all don't math well.
Well,
you don't English well.
Well, there's the gram. We are not concerned or stressed. It's just kind of annoying. That's why I asked for a polite clapback, not trying to start beef at the mom group.
A polite clapback.
What the hell is a clapback?
Clapback is like you're stupid. Oh yeah, well you're fat. That's like a clapback.
Well,
like
what's a polite clapback then? Like
a
nice
response?
hat. Like what is a polite clapback?
That's what I'm saying. God, man,
So-
we're really mangling the language over here that we stole from the Brits. We are just twisting it and turning it, and like we can't land on anything. It appears.
This isn't even
internet happened.
This isn't even a kid question though. This is adults dealing with adults. What do I do if an adult says something I don't like they said? You deal with it and move on. They're not saying it to your baby. Your baby is 9 months. Your baby has no clue what they said. Who cares?
Right. And I mean, for someone to say how old they are and then to say anything with a negative connotation, even though small can be considered cute, most people say, "Oh, they're small." You're going to be like, "Okay, well, what's going on? Is my kid not growing fast enough?" Even though that's crazy, it's just not. It's not something nice to say. Oh, they're small.
I mean, he's 94th for height, so it's a rather. I mean, it's 9 months, but it's a rather tall 9-month-year-old. 30th for weight. I mean, you might need to bump that up a little bit.
You might need to feed this child actual out of the ground
It probably would have been good to kind
food.
of put some, you know, are you breastfeeding? Have you tried
Yeah,
cereal?
30th for weight at 9 months. That is small. So you should be happy people are giving it to you straight because that's scary. You don't want
What
to
are
be
they in
30
relation
at
to each other?
9 months.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought you had to shoot for 50th, right? That was kind of the
I thought anything
target.
out of the 90s was like, get out of here.
Yeah, you're you're
We don't want
behind,
you.
right?
You're broken.
I mean, look, all kids grow at different rates. They shoot up. I mean, our kids have been very skinny because they got tall very fast, and but they eat, so it's fine. I don't know. They also have friends that are cute and tiny, and that's cool too. And I've seen those kids, and they dominate at some things that our kids can't. Like, I feel like shorter kids are better at getting on their bike and balancing and things like that. Like, they're skiers, they're skateboarding, they're riding bikes. They do all those things, and our kids really struggled with that because they had really long legs, and it was hard to do balancing type things. You know?
It's pretty insane watching the younger one almost born with competition
Yeah.
and just kind of like it's almost like wired into them to compete because it's like, well, there's this other one and I want to do what they want to do and I'm behind, so I have to like try harder, and they ultimately pass them
Yeah.
most in
Gattaca.
most
Yeah.
cases. It's like I was like, how is my brother faster than me? Well, he was trying to run faster to catch up to me in the
Right.
beginning, so it made him faster.
And you showed him how to
It's just
run.
like
You
Charlie.
showed him how to walk. You showed him how to
Showed him
do
how to
those things.
talk.
So you were way ahead of all those things. And then
Yes.
it's yeah, Leo is incredibly competitive. I mean, even walking down the sidewalk, he can't let anybody get ahead of him. If you just take a little step ahead of him, he'll just take off down the block. He'll just be in full sprint just to ensure the win. And I also saw, we were at swim lessons earlier, and there was another brother sister duo, and it's so hilarious. I
Yeah,
just sit there.
too.
I even put my book away. I put my book away.
Yeah, I
I'm
gotta.
just watching the competition happening in the water because it's live Olympics. It's amazing, and it's all just happening in this big mess of 12 kids swimming back and forth doing different strokes, and I'm watching these two,
Oh,
and they're
racing.
highly competitive. No, they're not even racing. That's the hilarious part. They're just keeping an eye on where the other one is, and the younger one, it like the younger one was trailing behind. This made me cry. I was laughing so hard, and she all of a sudden just turned around earlier before she got to the wall. Like, she was supposed to swim a full lap, and she saw him passing her, and so she just turned around and then just went to compete. And he's throwing his hands up like there's a foul or something, and nobody called it because there's only one instructor paying
Cheat.
attention. She was just like, all right, fine, like, I'm gonna win this. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even care if in my head I know I didn't win, as long as you feel the pain of the
Yeah.
instructor thinking that you lost, right? Like, that's the ultimate
I'm not, it
drive,
doesn't I don't have to win. You just have to lose.
right? That's exactly what it was. I just have to enjoy you losing. This isn't about my victory.
That's
Oh my
great.
gosh, it's so funny.
But yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
would say if someone says your kid is little, then look at them, find the flaw and
right.
then say it. Because I'll never forget this one kid at a Super Bowl party. Was wearing flip-flops, and he, in front of a whole bunch of people, he goes, "Hey, have your toes always looked like that? Were you born that way?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Your middle toe is bigger than all the other ones." And I was like, "Oh yeah, were you born fat?" And everyone laughed and laughed. And then I left the party quickly because I was
Yeah,
afraid they were going to beat me up there from
yeah.
Pittsburgh, and they were
Oh,
big.
you were at Penn State.
No, I was here.
Oh,
It was just, ironic. It was the Steelers Cardinals
I
Super
see.
Bowl when the Steelers won like at the last second. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, go. I mean, you're also in
Shasha.
a. I don't know if the he's small, like that seems like a weird. I've never heard somebody say something like that. That seems like an odd. That seems like you're remembering it wrong. Like there were
I
like
swear, man.
you're in a mom group, like you're in a parent group or whatever this is, to kind of share the negative side. Like this is the thing that people don't get. The way you make connections with people is to commiserate, not to like like you'll eventually get to congratulating each other, but you're congratulating each other over after overcoming something, right? You're in a mom
Wow.
group because you're actually having trouble. And if everybody is walking around Instagram facing each other,
Oh my God, dude.
they're
That's so
you're
that's
never going
pretty
to feel happy,
remarkable.
you know?
You are meant to like struggle together in the beginning before you can like pat each other on the back.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, let's all struggle in this and bond because it sucks and misery loves company. Like you said, commiserate.
right.
Misery is in the word.
For the whole
I
first
never,
year,
never put that down.
we lived in the neighborhood. If we went to a party, all I would do is talk to people about the terrible things in our house. I'd be like, oh, I've got a squirrel in the attic, I've got water, when it rains, it rains down our windowsills, it runs behind the brick, rains in the windowsills. Last all April I spent all this time bailing water out of our basement, and it smelled like gray sewer water, and I was walking around like a hobbit with my jeans pulled up for 10 hours bailing water out. And I was
Oh,
sleeping on the stairs, and every time I heard the rain start up, I would get back up and bail water. I was just going through all the terrible things that had happened. And then slowly somebody would say, oh yeah, I had a squirrel in my attic, or oh yeah, like our porch collapsed, or oh yeah, these old houses. And it was much more fun to joke with them about these terrible times we had, rather than like, what am I gonna, oh, you know we ran a marathon, like there's nothing to talk about. It's like, great. Was it hard? Yeah, cool. Like it, you need to actually have
right.
some
Yeah.
misery in it.
I
Like, well,
can't
it's like
relate.
you chose to
Though.
do those things.
Tell me something that, I may have done, like something about your child. Like, that's why when we get together with these families, these couples, and it's like, we go out to dinner with them, and there's more than one couple, and it's like a pretty big crowd, and it's not boys on one side and girls on the other side, which sometimes happens down here. It's like fucking eighth grade dance, I swear to God. Sometimes.
What? That's
It's
weird.
really weird, dude. Sometimes that's how it happens. I'm like, what is going on? This is so boring. I did this, the first, whatever, 30 plus years. I'd like, both sides. And a lot of times women, you can kind of like make them laugh with kid jokes because they're doing more with the kids. You know what I
Right,
mean? You
right,
can catch one or two and kill, um, because you're all going through the same things and you're going, there's no answer to this. You know what I
right,
mean? I
right,
think that's
right.
the funniest relief, is that you're hearing someone else go, there's no answer. They're just fucking weirdos. Just because they're my kid doesn't make them perfect. They're a weird person. They're different.
Right. And they're all going
And
to be at a different rate. You can only compare them to themselves. You can't compare them to other kids
or you.
or you. Yeah. So I,
So
back to
feed them
this guy.
more.
Yeah, I would say 30th percentile. That seems more like a health worry, and maybe the mom group. Maybe that's what they were trying to get across to you.
Now, some
And
of
maybe,
these yentas in these mom groups do say too much, and that's for sure. There's always one or two Karens, but uh, it could be coming from a good place. So you do want to be like, wait a second, 30 percentile on weight? I would be worried about that way more than height at that stage.
I would say when they're sharing, if they start talking like it's a rehearsed speech that they've given 100 other times, then just ignore it, smile, say thank you, and don't continue the conversation.
Right,
If
because
they
they're just
get
saying that to everyone.
if they give you some great examples of, oh yeah, my kid was small, and then all of a sudden he liked peanut butter and he started eating tons of peanut butter and he gained the weight and everything was great, or yeah, we had to find, it was really picky eater, had to figure out something for them to eat, or once they started eating solid foods, everything was great again. um or we ran out of breast milk and we struggled for a while and he wouldn't eat anything, he was very colicky. I mean, there's got to be other stories out there, and if you're in a mom group that isn't telling you those stories, then they're a bunch of effing liars,
Yeah.
or
It's
they're
not
not
a
paying
good
enough
mom group.
attention, or they're not raising their kids. It could also be a mom group that has a bunch of, you know, like nurses and nannies in their house and stuff like that.
It's like the 5-second tennis fad that happened like last year. It was like, you just want to post pictures of yourself in a tennis outfit on Instagram.
What
After
was it?
6 months,
Oh,
this is not going to happen.
it was a
That's what I
tennis.
went. It was like a tennis craze with chicks down here, and they all got their cool outfits.
You
Like
are
the
you are in the area of the beginning of crazes. So by the
yeah,
time it
and
gets to us, it's like half Amish. It doesn't really translate.
it right, yeah, like New York takes it and kind of like breaks it apart, and it's like, what even is this?
Yeah.
And then Philly's like, nah, yeah,
Yeah. Like,
no,
no, that's all right.
no, us neither.
Us neither. We'll skip this one.
Mhm.
Are Pogs back yet? All right. Let's do this one. I forgot to do it the first time. I don't believe my husband accepts my kids I had prior to our marriage. My husband, male 41, young kid, and I, female 39, have been together 4 years and married two this year? Married, wait, have been together 4 years and married two this year. Got it. I had two kids prior to our marriage. He had one, and we have one together. I am struggling
Mm.
being happy with him, and I don't believe he accepts my kids from my prior marriage, or will he ever? That's not a question, it's just a period. I happen to be I happen to be reading some notes from a doctor appointment he had recently, and he told the doctor he was married with two kids. In my eyes, I have four and will always include my stepson as my kid. Am I reading too much into this, or do I have a right to be hurt? Not only do I have really bad anxiety, but also battling some depression. Sometimes I feel like I'm in my head way too much. It's also always your kid when he refers to them, especially when they are in trouble. He never wants to include them if he goes somewhere with his son, kid from prior, unless I say something. This one I don't have much experience with, so I don't know if I want to touch this one.
Did she say? This is so weird. Can you tell me what it says where it was like he told someone that he's married with two kids? Who did he tell?
His doctor.
And how did she find out he told him?
I mean, sometimes I would think
Dr. Van Nostrand
you get a
stole
doctor
her
report.
file?
No, like you get a doctor report, or they
Oh,
might
right.
have
The
a
bill.
login. Yeah, you get like the whole readout of everything that you said. They type it in.
But she
So it
doesn't
could
say
be
like
part of his profile.
she doesn't say like his doctor told me, because I'm like doctor patient
No,
confidence.
I happened to be reading some notes from a doctor appointment. She said so. It's probably the printout that the doctor gives you, and
Okay.
then she was just reading it. So I don't think she was snooping, but she's also his
Sounds
wife, so that's fair
fishy.
game. I don't think she has
True.
to.
Totally. So
Unless she
I
broke into the doctor's office, then
I
then
wonder. I mean, because it's a doctor, he didn't make those other kids. He made the two. Maybe I mean, I'm just trying to see it from every angle here. if it was me, those aren't my children. Like I didn't make them.
Yeah.
But like for a woman, I think it's different because it's like, you're in my home, you're my kids. I just call them all my kids. Like instantly, I feel like the woman just switches on that.
Well, I mean, it's also genetics, right? I mean, it's built into our genetics that when babies are born, they look like the father.
Right.
It's made that way so that when we were insane cavemen, we didn't bash them to bits, thinking that it was another guy's kid. So yeah, it's kind of tough for
Wow.
it's got to be tougher for a guy to accept. I mean, he's got to be
Yeah, man.
balanced on it. Like he has to be accepting of it. It's not going to just come because he wants to. He's got lots of
I
things fighting it, I guess I should say.
I relate it to the feelings that I have for my actual blood siblings that I didn't grow up with, and the adopted one who I didn't really grow up with either. It's like there's just something different. Even though the relationships are all pretty much non-existent, there's just something different about the ones who are related to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's just what it is.
I mean, the other thing here is I don't hear anything about a discussion except for like the your kids. I could see the your kids when things get in trouble. It was kind of what we talked about earlier, as far as, if the kids are misbehaving later on, you're like, well, you were the one who gave them the ice cream. I mean, it's not a healthy thing to do, but
Right.
it definitely happens because he probably wasn't part of raising them, and that makes it more difficult. And at 41,
That's what I'm saying. Like, let them bond before he like refers to them as his kid.
You've been married 2 years, yeah. Like give him a second.
And old dog, new tricks. Like he's already raised his own. And like, how old are their kids? I forget if she even mentioned, but
They have one. She didn't say he had one and we have one together. So she had 2 kids. He had one. They came together and had 3 kids, and then together they had one more, which is kind of crazy if they did it when they got married, because she was 37. Like that's in like the danger zone for.
That is the clock is about to strike.
Yeah.
But these days, that I feel like that's moving back more and more.
Well, I mean, physically it's not though. Like physically it's still in the danger zone for women, right? Like it's a risky. I mean, birth used to be like the number one death for women. Like it wasn't.
I know.
Like people forget that. They're like, oh, it's no big deal.
C-section. It was like that didn't really go well for like the first 40 years.
Yeah.
It was like a 50-50 chance because they would bleed out and they couldn't,
Jeez, it's just nuts. It's like, anyway. So I don't know. With this one,
we always get to the point where we're like, God, we're really lucky that they just kind of figured everything out before we got here. God,
yeah, living in this era,
even get here?
Living in this era, it's
pretty
neat.
Absolutely,
it's pretty good,
pretty gross,
pretty good.
Might be
way less gross than it could have been, right? I mean,
oh God,
we could have been in a castle pooping in a thing that flew down the side and plopped out the side, or we could have been the person cleaning up the thing that plopped out the side and setting it on fire and wondering why I didn't feel good at night.
I just wonder how,
because I displeased the gods.
It's like, yeah, right. Of course, that's why. And you truly believe that, like there was no doubt,
you're gonna have a bad harvest.
Right, really though? But we didn't. It's like you messed up and everything's fine. There was none of that. There was no questioning. But it's like, what did did toothpaste and toothbrushes cause bad breath? Or like back then, was it just like, like no dentists?
Well, no, I mean, that's an interesting thing. Because I remember hearing a podcast on toothpaste, and they said that that's just a snake That's snake oil. When they when they
Feels
when
like
they
it.
when they invented toothpaste. Um, but toothbrushing had been around for a while, so people would
Yeah, like
brush
we've
their
been.
teeth, and then they would
Yeah,
use
I think we
various
used to
things
use
to,
aloe.
yeah. But there were they would, chew leaves and chew other things to get better. Like you'd actually chew mint or something, or you'd chew basil,
Oh,
and you'd
so
get
delish.
you'd get better breath. So there were ways to kind of, or you'd just be drinking wine or beer
Ginger.
all day, so you just smell like wine or beer.
You
Because a
wouldn't
lot of
even
people,
smell it.
because you didn't have water. I mean, like a lot of people drank beer, like a very low alcoholic beer, for a very long time because it was the only way to make sure that the water was clean.
Oh, because it would be alcoholic.
Right.
Or
Well,
have to
right. So,
ferment.
so it was like a very low alcohol beer that everybody would drink, you know? And I mean, coffee wasn't
So
figured out till later.
we invent. It's almost like did we? It's like we stumbled upon beer to make sure water was clean
Yeah.
and not didn't have poison in it.
No, that's
And we're like,
exactly
wait, why
right.
don't we just put a little more in? Oh, I spilled a lot into this batch. Be
Right.
careful. I don't know if it'll taste good. It doesn't taste good, but it's making me feel terrific.
I
Everybody looks
feel
pretty.
great. Um, yeah.
Well, if you don't, I would just give him time. I would not push that at all. Let him get there when he's going to get there. It's not your thing to really, I think, drive his progress on. You're
And
there already. That's
yeah.
cool. That'll be easier for him probably.
And you need to talk about setting the rules for not saying your kids. If that is something that is going to bother you during arguments, then you got to say,
I
yeah,
need to refer to
you
them
can't do that anymore.
as my kids, like all four of them. That'd be great. Sure, honey.
I don't know why. Here's the other thing. Her last sentence kind of wonders. I wanted to maybe touch on this. He never
Is it
wants to
curious?
include them if he goes somewhere with his son, kid from prior, unless I say something. That is a bit tough.
That's real
Like,
tough.
how do you mix the kids together? Because then you're also, you don't know what that son is feeling too, right? Like
I know. It's like, well, what if he doesn't want? What if he just wants Tata?
why does he have to get it? Like now it's a complex relationship. Like you're saying like, oh, why don't you
Yeah,
just bring all the kids, bring the other three kids? Um,
dude.
you know,
This again, man. This goes back to it gets complicated if you don't fucking talk about it before you tie it all together. Like if you're like, hey, what's it gonna be like when you go do stuff with you? Like you gotta like exhaust all the like what ifs, especially when you're mixing kids. I mean, when it's just two single people, it's no big deal. It's like I like these kind of TV shows, and I like to sit this way on the couch, and I hate my eggs this way, and I can't keep track of the clock. Um, but with children, you got to really go. Well, what is this relationship going to look like? Like, are they your boys, and are you going to have individual relationships with both of my
sure,
kids?
right.
I
And
think.
also how do you deal with the other side, like that kid's mom, right? What
And
if that kid's mom doesn't want her
oh
son
God,
hanging out with
right.
the other kids, right? I mean,
And that guy's dad, those kids' dad.
and then it's also
And
time together, and
we
so
all know now the fourth one has to be the favorite. So just kidding. It's so funny. Favorites are such a strange thing when I hear parents talk
the
about
kids
them.
used to love asking us who's the favorite and stuff like that.
Charlie doesn't ask that of me, but Hannah used to ask it a lot once Charlie showed up.
Yeah, oh
Who do you
yeah.
love more? Who do you love more?
Well, yeah, I guess the option wasn't there before. Previously, it was just like, I know the answer. It's me or the dog. Um, I think it's me. Did your earpiece drop out? You okay?
A warning.
Oh,
Damn.
your You're dropping it down to 1.
Hold on. Connect. Go. You talk.
Yeah, I can talk.
There you go.
Oh, I can talk so much.
What a dumb question. May you?
Mother, may I?
May
All right, let's see. My teenager is a jerk and self-entitled. Don't know what to do. I'll try to keep it short. I'm divorced. English people. I I divorced my husband when my children were toddlers because he became abusive and developed a substance abuse problem. It's double abuse. Their father never really showed up and only took them a few times
Deuce
a year.
abuse.
Now my son is 16 and I don't know what to do. I have given him and his brother everything I could. I made the mistake of buying him a car. This past school year, he missed a total of 20 days of school and only received credit for 3 courses. He is going into his junior year. I helped him get a job at a coffee shop, but he blows through his money in a few days. A couple weeks ago, he spent $800 on clothes.
All right,
Since it's
whatever.
it's perfectly like
Close. It's his money.
since it's summer break, he doesn't have a curfew. On Tuesday morning, he left with friends and didn't come back until Wednesday evening. When I asked him to pick up a birthday cake, he was very rude. And when he returned, he was dismissive when I told him the way he talks to me is rude. Any practical advice that worked for your teenagers? And then it says he also rolled over the family car in an accident a few months ago and received a speeding ticket the day we bought the car. He was clocked at 105 miles per hour by the state trooper.
Stupid. I never got a ticket going that fast. Actually, that's not true. But I was going downhill, so it did tick me up to like almost 100. But God, man, that sucks. I feel so bad for this single mom who was getting beat up, and he was doing drugs allegedly.
Yeah, she doesn't say she has anybody. She said she divorced her husband when they were toddlers.
Well, and now they're teenagers, and they're probably mad at you for leaving their dad because
They might
they
also
don't
have
understand.
alcoholism in their
Again, I'm just
genetics.
well, yeah, of course. I'm trying to wing myself back to when I was a teenager and when my mom was most effective at communicating and helping keeping my feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Is that she most likely waited until she caught me in a good mood and would kind of lay out a rule, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then going forward, it was like, it's the least I can do, for my parents that like allow me all this. I don't know. It's like,
Was it logic? Like, did she win you over with
yeah.
logic
It
or
was
with
like, hey,
like
I
a
just want to
personal
know. I
story
just
or
want to
what?
know where you are, who you're with, and
Right.
and where you're sleeping, and are their parents. Like just the kind of like the basics. It was always like, just tell me where you are and who you're with, or I don't even think it was who you're with. Just tell me where you are and if you're safe, and you won't get in trouble. Blah blah blah. She was like, just keep it honest. Like, just don't be sneaky.
Yeah.
And I remember her telling me that one evening, and it was like I was on my way out somewhere, and I think I was kind of like, it wasn't that I was like dishonest, but I was kind of like leaving parts out of what I was up to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know what I was up to. I was just meeting up with
Well, I mean,
Bonnie,
sometimes you didn't
Bonnie
even know.
Bergen.
Yeah.
I was going to meet up with Bonnie Bergen, who I didn't hang out regularly with, but we were like rekindling a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of like stumbling with my answers to her questions. And she's finally just like, John, just tell me, like, don't get in the car with someone that's drinking. And if you don't have a ride, then just call me and I'll come get you, no matter what you're doing, even if you're hammered. And I
Right.
did do that later on in life, and I wasn't hammered. I was like worse.
Yeah.
And my mom came through. So it's like with those unruly, idiot, know-it-all, near invincible teenagers
Right.
that don't want to hear shit. You gotta kind of like just time your words of wisdom on when they're most receptive to it, not when you're screaming at each other and he's on to something else and he's shoving a Twinkie down. You disrespect me. He's gonna go play Madden.
Mad 92. What do you do with this car though?
Wait, can you retell the last like two
Well,
sentences? Besides the 100 miles an hour, I got
I mean, she bought him a car, right? Which I guess she's saying led to him missing 20 days of school,
oh duh.
and then he's spending all of his other money on clothes and stuff.
It's like, have you been telling him since like early age, like, you gotta graduate high school or no one will pay you? At the very least now.
I mean, you could survive high school without having a car, though. Like we did, especially at 16.
I had many friends who survived without a car.
Yeah.
Because I did.
It wasn't absolutely necessary. In fact, those that didn't have a car probably spent more time just getting in a car with somebody else. Like it wasn't a big deal. You just said like, all right, give me a ride.
Teach them to learn or lean on other people.
And then, so it said a few months ago, he rolled over the family car in an accident. And then he also received a speeding ticket the day she got the car for him. The day she got the car for him. At 16. I mean, you cut off your permit.
And we all have an accident in that first year.
Not at 105 miles an hour.
No, it's like a dumb fender bender.
I didn't roll the family car.
No, like
I wonder. First off, just seems like a bad driver. Let's just a new driver, but
who taught him to drive?
Good question.
Or was she just like, here, go?
I don't know how he still has a license. I feel like if I was a state trooper who clocked a 16-year-old going 105 miles an hour in the car they just received that day,
dude,
I'd be like, nah.
First of all, I think it's like across the country, or maybe it's just Pennsylvania, but I heard it's like if you're over a certain mile per hour over the limit, it's like if you're like 25 over the limit or 30 over the limit or double the limit in this case, your license is gone for a year.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just too crazy. Like you can't be allowed to operate.
In Germany, they would just take the car. They just take the car. If you do that, I think that's more for a DUI. But if you get a DUI, they just take the car away. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Can't have this now.
You can't have that.
Much.
But doesn't that make sense? Like if you do it once, it's like, okay, there you go.
I mean, the punishments fitting the crime are a little wonky in this world that we live in. They don't match up all the time.
I think for this one, yeah, I don't think he should have a license.
Yeah, he's gonna suck. But like, if you can time when you're trying to pass him a note in class that is of value, just wait until he's ready to hear it.
What other things are you paying for him though? Like, are you paying his insurance? Are you paying for his gas? How is he making $800 at a coffee shop? I mean, I can get how he makes $800 at a clothing shop.
When you said that, you were like, he works at a coffee shop and then spends all his money the next day. The other day, he spent $800 on clothes. I was like, well, that money wasn't from the coffee shop. There's no way he saved up $800 and
Well,
blew it
right.
all on clothes. So, yeah. I mean, this kid's nuts. He's driving that fast, and he doesn't like, dude, I was afraid. I was so afraid in my car, and not like afraid, but like I was just, as dumb as I was still pretty like safe. And to be that reckless right away, it's like, God, no one like prepared him.
You weren't driving 100 miles an hour.
No way.
You were just probably doing
I was
things while you were
distracted.
driving. Like you were like adjusting the radio and like,
I was
you
I
know,
was trying to be funny. I was trying to
and
make someone laugh,
right.
be cool,
Most of the time we
and
were just going from one parking lot to another parking lot. It wasn't like a dangerous
we
situation.
couldn't get up to 100 miles an hour if we wanted
Yeah.
to.
Or we
But
were
like
more
even if we
scared that cops were going to find us or something like that. So we were obeying every single law there was, and just slowly pulling up to red lights and like slowly turning. And then, I mean, it wasn't
and
any of that stuff.
how many damn movies with the most extravagant car crashes that happen like for no reason. Like the car's just like
Yeah.
I'm like, these machines aren't perfect. Like they can break anytime. So why would we beat them up?
But there's definitely been times where we've been in cars with people that were driving insane. Like I've definitely been in cars with people where they were driving and even as 16, 17, 18, I was like, this isn't cool. This is
Two
super reckless.
two of the scariest times of my entire life. When I was in a car, one with my older brother and one with Dagan.
Well, yeah, that was the guy in Doylestown, right?
They thought it was so funny.
He was so scary.
To fucking floor. You've been in with his Ford Taurus. He would floor it around this like snaky turn and think it was funny. And I was like, I will not be lifelong friends with you if this
That was
continues.
it. That one night hanging out with him, I was like, I will never see this human being again. If I can live through this. It was like the day before Thanksgiving too. It was by far the worst night to be actually driving around super fast. And then he also had the I still remember it because it was terrifying. I was like,
He would
I
just
guess I'm gonna die. Like,
and then and I was like, this is doing the opposite of what you think it's doing. You think you're looking cool like Tom Cruise, and you're dumb. It's showing the lack of cells that have activity up in your skull.
yeah, and the music was blaring. Like all of his money was spent on speakers and that were just not holding the frame of the car together. Like I think the speakers were slowly unscrewing bolts within the car due to the vibrations. Like I could just picture like a nut, like just unscrewing.
It's
Like
just
the
the
suspension
base
just
is
drops out.
slowly spinning the drill, the screw.
I was like, that night made me question like my other friendships. I was like, maybe I shouldn't be with anybody in this car. Like that's how scared I was.
Dude,
That's and then we drank
and
those terrible Jack Daniel things, like those pre-mixed, like sugar-filled, gross things. I felt terrible. And then I had a family portrait the next day, uh, which is still like at my parents' house, and they had to Photoshop like gum out of the side of my mouth because I just kept going back. They were like, all right, like let's do this shoot, and I'm supposed to be like the best me
dude,
I can be. And I was like,
why do
oh,
they
and
schedule those
they had this like
shoots on
little bathroom,
Sunday?
and I was like just like spitting in it, and I'm like trying to like eat more gum, and of course it was like a 9 a.m. shoot, like the next, like I barely
My
made it.
God, so pale.
It was so
I remember
dangerous.
Rye and I at Dagan's house one night, and me and him were like, what are we were like, we got to get the fuck out of here. But like Dagan's dad started like drinking with us. DeWitt was like passed out. So Rye and I devised this like escape plan. It was like out of a movie, because I'm like a lookout at a certain point in this escape plan, and I just glance back to the car to make sure Rye is like getting everything on time. And I literally just see Rye like hoist DeWitt and throw him across the back seat. I don't know if that's what happened. Like if DeWitt kind of just jumped, and in my memory, it turned into Rye like a cartoon, like hey, and then
Like,
shuts the
yeah,
door and looks at me and is like, "Go!" And I ran off Dagan's deck. I'd gotten the driver's seat, and we flew out of there. It was one of those nights where after like 5 beers, and then we started playing beer pong. Rye and I were like, "I'm tired. I'm like
yeah.
not drunk.
I
I'm
don't want to be
tired.
here. This isn't
This There's no
enjoyable.
girls. I
No.
need to leave." Besides his sister, who was like, is this gonna happen?
But I feel like he was kind of acting out. Like I feel like he was kind of like the 16-year-old, like just probably angry at the world or something like that, and just
Yeah, he dropped out. Like I knew him at Penn. I met him at Penn State, Hazleton, and then he dropped out like before Thanksgiving, and it was like kind of stayed friends because I would come home on the weekends, and then I would sometimes when I would come home I would see DeWitt, and forever I pushed off them meeting until that summer, and it was just like Dagan worked at Quakertown
it's like
TGI
two
Fridays, and
black
so did
holes
DeWitt
at
and
the
I.
time, just like colliding and
Yes,
swirling
that's what
around each
I'm
other.
trying to keep separated. And then Dagan and got a job at Quakertown Fridays, and so did DeWitt and I.
Yeah.
And when DeWitt had the empty apartment, and it was inevitable.
DeWitt ended up in a much better place. I don't know teenagers. I don't know. I don't
You
know.
weren't a bad teenager.
Probably not. Like looking back, I probably could have been a better friend to some people. Like I think I had a weird perspective of myself. Um, it was weird changing schools because I wanted to keep a good confidence level going. And then when I moved to the other schools, I had you and other people for support. But
Yeah, but you were like in smart people classes. It's not like we saw each other all day or ever. We never had class together.
yeah, well, I mean, well,
I
we
was in the
had we
dumb
had we had
class.
out we had we had Algeo's class together.
Oh
So
yeah. We
we
had
had accounting.
the head football coach as a
Head
teacher.
football.
That was the class. So we really goofed off and got to play a lot in that class. It
That
was the
was I was
accounting.
I was just telling the story from that the other day. Because I forget why it came up. Oh,
We gave
because
a lot of material for Stevie Wonder.
because Kelly watched Liar Liar, and she was like, I forgot like all the stuff that happens in that movie. And I was like, yeah, like every time I think of that movie, I think of the accounting class because it was legal in accounting, and for one semester we covered legal things and torts and things like that. And I still remember you putting up your hand and going, yeah, actually, I my friend, somebody was breaking into their house through a skylight and he fell through, and then he ended
My
up
cousin.
suing my cousin or something like that, suing my cousin for it. And I just remember turning to you
You're
like
like,
after, and Algio was like, yeah, that's a good example that could happen. And I turned to you and I was like, John, that wasn't you, that was Liar Liar. And you were like, oh yeah, that's what it was.
I was like, I probably just didn't want to be like Mr. Algia, the Jim Carrey movie that just came out. There's a scene in it, and I was like, I'll just make it me.
I think
No, I'll get to the point quicker.
it was so
My
funny.
cousin fell through a skylight robbing someone, but he
Yeah,
sued the house.
I'd have got him 20.
Yeah.
It was so funny. But yeah, that was such a dumb class. What I really would have liked was instead of going through accounting, which you don't really need, it really would have been great. And I think this kid could use it too, is what to do with money. And you know what? Honestly, high school, college, why don't you explain to people what to do with money?
And
Like
stop
explain the time
getting
value
like
of
we're all
money.
going to
Like,
be on the stock market. Like, dumb it down, but like teach people how to not lose it all.
right. I
It's
mean,
pretty important. I feel like no one wants to do that. They're like, no, I'm not going to give away my secrets.
well, I mean,
Lose your money to me.
my dad always, he gave me a good lesson one time where he just said, if somebody is making lots of money and they're not your friend and they come over and offer you tips on how to make money, It makes no sense.
Yeah,
Why on earth would they just share it with you
I agree.
and tell you how to make money? So if anybody ever offers you that, just walk away. They
They're
have
full
no
of
clue
shit.
what they're talking about.
And
Uh,
it's like anyone who's doing that who is really rich, it's like they're like a one trick pony, and they're trying to like, oh, I'll just, yeah, I can't like stretch this anymore, so I'll just act like there's some trick to it, and it's
right.
just kind of
Yeah.
like and that
It
it's
just
like
goes back
you
to the
can
beans. Yeah.
invent
Just, huh,
Microsoft.
you want to lose weight? Just eat beans. It's like, yeah,
Right?
well, I'm sure that would work, but
What if I ate a trillion
it
beans?
sounds like a terrible, like eat tree bark and eat anything. And you're probably going to start losing weight.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
Only eat Oreos.
but like, yeah, $800. I mean, like, he needs to understand a budget, what to do with money. I would make him start paying these insurance and,
And does he like want
gas.
to go to college? Like, does he have like a goal, aspiration, interests? So, you need to kind of like learn him. And calling him a jerk, it's like self-entitled. It's like, yeah,
I
but
didn't really see the
what are his
self-entitled. He seems
parents?
self-destructive to me, not self-entitled. I don't know what he
Yeah,
says
I
to you.
mean, self-entitled. You mean entitled? It doesn't.
It's self, I think.
Yeah, but like, I feel like when parents come out about their kids like this, it's like this has to be the last step before they go, holy fuck, I've just been checked out for like a pretty significant amount of time. And somehow, like, I don't even know my kid. That's got to be a scary realization.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got to be tough. I mean, the years could go by very quickly, it's
Yeah,
not,
right. And it's like, maybe you've had enough, like they're just people. And like, the more you grow together, it's like you could just not all of a sudden have all these cool things that you had in common together anymore, and be like, oh, I need like a distance from you. And then before you know it, it's like, yo, you suck now.
yeah.
I don't even recognize you.
I was working out a joke the other day because since I got laid off, I was thinking that I'd maybe take a stab at stand-up comedy. And so I was writing a joke down the other day that I'd been working on for a while. And I was thinking about basically like, is it successful as a parent to have your kids not kill you? Or is it worse for them to attempt to kill you and fail? Because then you've raised somebody who not only hates you enough to try to kill you, but you've also raised a failure who doesn't succeed in their goals.
Yeah, there is
It's like,
something there. Yeah,
you
like,
know what I mean?
no, but it's also like, I kind of respect the fact that they tried to kill me,
Yeah.
but also you fucking didn't do it.
But you didn't
You
do it.
suck.
You didn't do it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the opener is almost too good. It's like you have to like back into that
Yeah, right.
because it's so funny, you know. And it's like, I guess when you're dying, as long as it isn't your kid's fault or kid's doing, then you've succeeded. But like, say
Right.
it the exact way you said
You
it,
have to
because
make
that's
it.
the
Yeah.
funniest way, is if they don't kill you or something. You don't get killed by your kids. I think that's how you say
Yeah. That for some reason that's the line that I think of. I'm like, when they start screaming at me, I'm like, oh, is this the moment?
it.
Is this the moment where they're going to hold on to this because I didn't give you a second Oreo? And now 10 years from now, I'm going to be laying bloody on the bottom of a bathroom floor going, they did it. It was that
it's
Oreo.
yeah,
Oh, man.
it's like they haven't killed me. They are in therapy, but it's because of the relationship with their sibling. Nothing to do with me. I'm
Hands
wonderful.
off.
Even
Yeah,
the therapist says so.
so funny.
That's so good.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. I got to switch this one. I don't know what this
I
one is.
was I was telling Heather, I was like, this is a funny premise. I just have no idea. I can't think of it now though, but if I do, I'll tell you. Did I handle this wrong?
This one just says, "Did I handle this wrong?" So I have no idea what this is.
And
I
if I
took
haven't said it already, I once again preface that this person answered their just by being on here, but we're still going to take them seriously.
I took my 2-year-old daughter to a local park, which has a sand pit with toys. She was playing very well for quite some time with a 5-year-old boy whose mother was sitting out of sight, about 150 feet away. I would learn later. My this is
How do
ominous.
you know?
I'm like, what is?
How do you know if it's 150 out of sight?
But I guess
I would know later.
I guess he or she learned it later. The exact distance.
Right.
When I graduated from contractor school and bought a distance meter.
When I played football and could eye up a field.
My daughter picked up a big plastic car, and the boy snatched it from her and threw it out of the pit, claiming it wasn't a sand toy. I figured he's just 5. He might have thought he was helping a younger kid. Who knows? So I ignored
Well, you
his.
didn't have to throw it.
I mean, this
I'm gonna
sounds.
take jabs.
I don't even know how you'd even get that interaction, but like kids are throwing toys. I'm not like, oh, that kid thought that wasn't a sand toy. So I ignored his actions and just gave the car back to my daughter. He took it away again. She picked up a little sand shovel. The boy took it. It's escalating. I gave my daughter one of the sandcastle molds. He took that as well.
Wait. After the second offense, you say, "Where's your parents?" You can't see them. Okay. If you touch my daughter's toys again,
Okay,
it'll be the last time you touch anything. This is like Germany rules here. If you go 100 miles an hour, your car is not allowed to be driven by you.
Like, that's it. You and me step outside of the sand.
If you lay your hands on her toys again, it'll be the last time you have hands. Daenerys Targaryen.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I think it's it's very extreme. At this point, okay, here you go. Okay. At this point, I very nicely asked him to please share because there are enough toys to go around. I picked up a different sandcastle mold and brought it to my daughter. The boy began insisting that she cannot play with that because it's cracked. It had a tiny, insignificant hairline crack that did not affect its ability to hold sand. I told him that she's happy to play with it, just let her be. Well, he took that one too. So I sternly, in parentheses, I did not raise my voice. I just changed my tone, in parentheses. So told him not to take one more toy from my child, and that he needed to learn how to share. But he's not going to snatch toys from my child. He acted shocked and ran to get his mother. The mother came down sometime later and basically accused me of yelling at her kid over a simple misunderstanding. She did make her kid apologize, but kept maintaining that it was just a misunderstanding. It was not.
Misunderstanding.
I think he. Okay.
That's why people have guns. Too many misunderstandings.
He snatched every single toy from my daughter's hand. I didn't say this, but I feel like if she was actually watching her kid instead of being on her phone at a picnic table across the park, she would have known what went down. She was obviously very upset and left the park. I felt bad, but I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm not going to just let my daughter be a doormat. I realize he's just a little kid, but I feel like I wasn't out of line to ask him to stop this behavior as it concerned my child. How do others handle this type of thing when there's no parents around? I'm 40 and a new mom. Okay, so it's a mom. My mom handled things in an over-the-top way that I definitely wouldn't. So I'm looking for others' opinions and ideas. How old's her son? 2.5? Your daughter's 2.5. Okay.
And the kid was 5. 5's old. 5's kindergarten.
But
Like that
a,
kid
a 5-year-old
needed to be
boy is
stopped,
it's not, like he
uppercutted.
didn't bite her. He didn't bite her. Like
Yeah,
he
but
was
like
just
he knew he was being mean. Like he was purposely being mean. Like he was aware of what he was doing.
no. He was categorizing. Listen to his words. He said, "Big plastic car, not a sandbox toy." Brought another thing in. That thing is cracked. Like he's categorizing things. I don't know why he took the shovel. If there was an the shovel's the only thing that lays outside of my theory. But to me, it sounds like he's categorizing and actually being quite helpful.
Yeah, but he's grabbing
I'm on the
toys
side of
out
the
of a
five.
2-year-old's hand.
Well, she could have got cut on the cracked one, and she shouldn't have brought the toy truck in or the plastic car into the sandpit.
Why?
It's
I
not a
always brought
sand
my
toy.
Star Wars vehicle. Yeah, I know. I was like, not a sand toy, first of all. Throw
Like,
this out of court. They're all
yeah,
sand toys, you dick.
but they're just at the local park, so it's not like there's a rule, like a school rule against this or anything like that. But
Right, of course. Like, no, don't bring anything real cool that nobody else doesn't have or nobody else has. Um, like I do that all the time. It's like some kind of unwritten rule amongst some moms with these kids where it's like if they're somewhere, you bring them water. And I, like an idiot, always bring a Gatorade for Hannah. And all the kids are like, I want Gatorade. Mr. Hassinger, you're not supposed to bring anything but water. I'm like, oh, I don't give a shit. Sorry if I'm better. No. I'm like, oh, makes total sense. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I think I'm doing it to like make,
I'm
impress my
sorry, I'm
daughter.
not Mr.
I'm getting
Perfect.
in trouble. Excuse me, Mr. Perfect. Yeah.
That's how you should have responded to that. Yeah, when you bring the Gatorade. I'm
I'm like,
sorry,
it's warm
Mr.
anyway.
Perfect. You could just start crying. I mean, nowadays I would just start crying in front of somebody. Just really scare them, like a grown man crying over breaking a simple rule. That should terrify everybody in the room. Like, just think of something really sad and just start bawling your eyes out. I'm sorry, I just thought the Gatorade was, and they're like, "Oh my god, like what the hell is happening?" Like
Like
you would, yeah,
think of this. Think about this as men right now who like everybody's trying to like kill us.
everyone.
Let's if men as a group, everyone, if men as a group just collectively were like, yo, we're just gonna start crying like 3-year-olds
Yeah,
out in public
yeah,
just to get everyone to back the fuck off.
right.
I think that'll snap everyone into shape.
Yeah, cut it out. You don't want to see us when we unleash this. Like,
Yeah, we've been keeping it together. We could let it all go.
yeah.
We could just be like, no, you take care of it. It's too much. No, we'll continue.
The problem is we also don't want to be annoyed, and it's just like so much effort to actually do that too. So we're like,
It is a lot of energy to
it's
cry.
like this is so dumb. I've been getting kind of annoyed because people keep getting surprised. Like I feel like I'm getting more reactions like, "Oh, you're able to do that, and you're a man." It's like, what? Like we've always been here. We've been like 50%. It's been like a 50% thing going on for a while. I don't know.
Agree. My old shrink when I was like 17. He's like, a real man is not afraid to cry. I was like, you're like Yoda.
I think this
So what's more
one.
manly, the one who's afraid to cry or the one who's not? I was like, you're killing me. No wonder my mom writes you checks.
I think the one who knows the right time to cry is the best.
Well, yeah, there are times to where you're like, no, don't.
Well, I mean, I would say, like, I would want to use it as a weapon. I would use it as a weapon against people I don't like, because you can use crying as a weapon. It's awesome. It's really good because, like I said, it freaks people the fuck out.
Yeah, it's almost like more powerful than joking, like making
Oh,
someone laugh, making someone like, oh no, this person in front of me is falling apart. This like human instinct comes into like, I need to put it back together.
yeah,
Like I have to
yeah.
help them. I have to save
Or
them.
you
We all
crossed the
become
line.
Jack.
You went too far. Like you are the problem.
Right.
That's what it makes them do. It makes them think that they're the problem.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a tough one. That's a tough one because sometimes you're like, I'm using this, but for the wrong situation.
Yeah, right.
It's like I'm pulling feelings from like not this, but I'm using it for this
Well, it's really dangerous
because I'm just so
if you
exhausted.
start trying to head down that route and then you realize you're not really sad about something and you can't keep going. That's going to be a big problem.
I got like a little teary eyed Friday when Heather and I had like a pretty bad blowout,
Yeah,
but one that ended well. And I was telling her this. I was like, I don't even know if I'm just saying that to because I'm mad right now, because I'm jealous, or if I really believe it. I was like, I'm
yeah,
not. I was like, am I being manipulative, or do I really feel this way? I was like, I don't even know what the hell's wrong with me.
right. Yeah,
She's like,
that's
well,
half the problem is
she's
we
like,
don't even know
why do
what we're
you
saying.
think? She's like, do you think I ask you how your day was because I just want you to say it was good, babe? She's like, I want to know. Tell me how weird it's getting, and if it's getting hard. I'm like, sometimes I just don't want to. And then by the time we get the girls to bed, it's just like the last thing I want to do is hold court.
Well, it's like, look, I get that it's a good thing. I get that I'll probably feel way better than I feel right now. But
Yeah.
the path to getting there is so full of thorns and, you know, mud and muck that I have to climb through to get there.
I
It's not
know.
just like a door I open because I
I
can't
want
get
to
the
go
door
down
shut.
the warp tunnel. I don't want to go through every level. I want to warp to level 9
It's
and
like
just save
opening
the
up
princess.
a door on a screen on a submarine. Like opening up the door on a submarine, like now I can't shut it and you're ready to go
Yes.
to bed.
Yes,
Like
that's it,
we need like
man.
6 hours.
Yes, it's like, well,
I'm either bringing down the wall.
there's a pile under that rug, and we can lift the rug and be attacked by whatever the hell's living under there, or we can just keep that lump
Yeah.
growing. It
And we have
sucks.
to lift the rug, look at it, identify it, and figure out where it came from, all within what, a half hour? I can't, like, just time wise, I can't do it. I'm going to keep it bottled up. I'm going to keep that door locked, maybe throw another padlock on top of it. You can
And
schedule some time where we're going to do this.
I do have a live two-way communicator to the lump, and they speak to me and they taunt me and they talk shit to me all day and
Right.
night, almost at night.
Right.
Oh,
I feel,
so I think you handled it actually better than I would have.
I think I don't think
I'm
this
too
isn't the way
protective.
I would handle it. This isn't the way I would handle it. The way I would handle it is at 2.5. I don't know. Maybe not at 2.5. Maybe at 2.5. But one thing I would always tell the kids, because I remember around a very similar situation like this. Like Ruby was probably 2.5, and there was a boy on the playground at 5, and the 5-year-olds start getting an idea that the younger kids are babies. Everybody underneath them is a baby, and I mean, most of them are in diapers, and even some of the 5-year-olds are in
Mm-hmm.
diapers. So, like, I get it. Like, but I remember one of the kids came up to Ruby and was like, Ruby's like, "Do you want to play?" Like, Ruby for forever has spoken to adults.
Yeah.
Forever, she just would go up to somebody's parents and start talking with them about things and real conversation. Like, oh, look at those shoes. Where did you go? What did you guys do today? Did you go to the zoo? Like,
I remember, man.
yeah,
She blew me away. I was so motivated by her that I spoke to Hannah a lot when she was really, really little. And it helped. I don't know
oh,
what it did, but she can speak well, and
it's
she did early.
it's that's great. I mean, it always surprised me, but I just kind of like let her go with it. Like she would just go. It was always like something in the back of my head was like, all right, I might need to step in with this eventually, because you can't just go around not talking to the kids and just talking to the adults in the park. But I thought it was interesting because she went up to this boy who was playing on the playground and said, like, oh, can I play with you? And he's like, no, I can't. Like, you can't play with me. You're a baby. Like, you do baby things. Like, go over to the baby area. Like, get out of my space or something like that. And she came over and talked to me about it. And she was like, this kid just called me a baby. And I was like, well, are you a baby? And she's, no, I'm not a baby. I'm like, well, then, kid's full of shit. Yeah, I didn't say that, but I mean, in so many words, just look, you're going to come across kids that take things from you. You're going to come across kids that say mean things to you. You know what you do? You go make those kids jealous and make them come back and beg for your attention.
Right.
And so I forget what she had. Like, I think I had something that day. I had a ball or something, and there were no balls at the park. And so I gave her like the ball to play with, and I was like, go start playing with this ball, like against that wall. And then that kid will come walking over and asking if he can play with you because he doesn't have a ball. And now he's got to beg and grovel. And you shouldn't make him beg and grovel. If he comes over and says, do you want to play? Then you start playing with him because that's what you wanted in the first place. Right? Don't forget what you wanted. You don't need to punish him for it. But just remember that was the same kid that called you a baby and said you couldn't play. Right? So, like, when it comes to this kid in the sandbox, he's he's figuring things out too. It's a 5-year-old, right? And maybe he's an only child, or maybe he's,
maybe his mom's 150 yards away on a cell phone, not paying attention, saying, "Hey, you don't yank toys out of 2-year-olds' hands."
But I feel like as at a 2.5, you got to start trying this out. Like, you got to start.
I forget. I forgot.
2.5 is. It's close.
2.5 is definitely it's close, but it's still like, come on. Like, I would have thrust Charlie into that and been like, you can handle it.
And the boy, like boys at 5 and girls at 5 are different, right? Like, boys at 5 are still a little bit underdeveloped. So he's more like a 4-year-old girl, and
basically a girl.
So
I'm picturing a big. It's like some of these dudes, like now, like that, like, Hannah, like these parties that we'll go to, and the boys will be playing football, and like they're just getting meatier and like ripped, and like you can just tell they just don't do anything but play sports.
Yeah,
I'm like, here it comes. Get out of the way.
It was tough with basketball because they were playing at co-ed, and I'm just like, the boys, they would just like come down hard on the girls. Like, not that the girls didn't have skill. The girls had shooting skills, dribbling skills, were just as fast as the boys.
Yeah.
But it was just the raw strength. Like, they would just, and the aggressiveness wasn't the same.
Oh yeah, right. And the girls are trying not to hurt each other. Boys are trying to like rip each other's limbs off.
Yeah, they just
score a bucket.
They just come through and just like clobber 4 people. They don't even think of they jump, and they don't think about where they want to land.
No.
And then half of them are trying to land on the ground anyway because they've seen like Kobe do it, or like they just try to take a shot and then fall down for no reason. And
they're flopping like LeBron.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop. They all do travel like LeBron. They all do perfect impressions of that. But I don't know if this. I mean, the parents should have been there, but I wouldn't lean on that crutch. Like, kids are alone and should be allowed to be alone. I don't think everything needs to be like a big thing. I don't really know how you talk to the kid. I wouldn't jump right to being stern with a 5-year-old. I would, again, incentivize the fact of playing with the 2.5-year-old. Like, kids are so simple. Like,
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Just oh, well, if you're not going to play with her, then you can't see what's in my hand. Like, it's as simple as that.
You do like what my mom used to always say at the DMV whenever she would go. She's like, I would be like 110% Betty. Like, I'd go in there and be like, hello, because everyone wants to like hang themselves. I would be like, oh, good idea. Like, which toys? Like, we'll put this one over here because this one's cracked. We'll put the car because it's not a sand toy. For some strange reason, I would make mad little jabs, but he wouldn't catch them. Like, for some weird reason, that's not a sand toy. We'll put it over here. And then what else? Where else do the other ones go? And kind of like throw it in his lap. Yeah. And that's usually when they're like, forget it. It's too much responsibility.
Right. Yeah. Make it sort of like a game, or make it like a distraction. go
Like
game or
join in
distraction.
whatever weirdness he's doing
Yeah,
and kind of make it like normal.
yeah. I don't think it was the right moment for
Or shove his
a
face in the
full
sand.
life lesson.
Or suffocate him in the sand.
Yeah. What did everybody say? Everybody said, yeah. I know we're on the right path if we're saying the opposite of what everyone says
Is
in the
everyone like,
comments.
I would have fucking killed that motherfucking mom and that kid at the same
Yeah,
time and buried him in that sandbox and
yeah,
played with all the toys in the sandbox.
yeah. You did fine. You did fine. Ideally, you would have had the full thing to tell her exactly what happened. I suspect, like you, yeah. I'm pretty sure I could have written this. You're completely right. You're exactly right. You're
I
at
couldn't
that
have
age,
written this.
parents should be watching closely.
You
Some
couldn't have written this, but you did.
Yeah.
I just read it. You wrote, I couldn't have written this.
The only thing I might have done was stop the snatching mid snatch. Well, now you're
I would have snatched it from the snatcher
stop snatching
and
it.
shown him only I can snatch.
Keep snatching
Oh,
it. Be a
so that'll
pro.
send a clear message.
Be a very good snatcher.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna switch from kids over to marriage because
Expectation, we're making it great.
40-year-old male, so we're right in that ballpark. Married 16 years, pretty close to that ballpark. 2 kids, 12 and 15. I'm a first responder and I have PTSD. Don't have any experience with that. I've been in therapy
Oof.
over a year. I now struggle personally with anxiety and agitation, along with a propensity to be negative. My wife and I struggle to communicate, to understand each other's expectations after having a conversation. It's like we both take something different from it, even though we seem to be in the same page at the time. This leads to a lot of arguments about how we handle situations, especially as it pertains to the kids. I am struggling with seeing everything as black and white and becoming very defensive when I am criticized, even if the criticism is warranted and truthful. My trauma therapist recommended to look up an expectations matrix for marriage and fill it out along with my wife. For the life of me, I can't. For the life of me, all I can find are expectation matrix for school students. Am I not understanding what it is? Has anyone else done this? I need a marriage expectations matrix.
When you put matrix into it, it's
You just,
scaring me a little. It's like, oh god, it seems like you're lost. But I get what those things are, sort of. So it's like, okay, maybe that could be a useful tool where it's like, dude, expectations are something that you gotta have really. I mean, I guess you just never stop working on them, because they probably change uh, in every facet of marriage.
well, they change internally too. Just even if you're on your own,
Right.
your
You're
expectations
right.
are going to change. And that's the craziest thing because sometimes you've got a self definition,
And
of what you are. You still have this picture of yourself from, high school or college or whatever, and you're like,
when you're 10.
my personality is I like to go out, or my personality is I like to go for runs for 8 hours at a time, or something. Like my personality, and
Yeah,
it's
my
like no,
personality is
you're not.
I like fantasy football. It's like those are hobbies. That's not your personality, you
Right,
idiot.
right,
How do you react to
right.
shit?
You have to break that stuff down. You have to say I like fantasy football. No, you like keeping a connection to friends that are farther away now, and maybe you like to just have time with the guys to kind of just talk trash and have fun and go back to some of those old simple jokes when it was good. And maybe you like the analysis of it. And maybe you like to win something.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
or maybe you're very bored watching football and that makes it a bit more enjoyable. Like, there's lots of things that you could break down, and all of those pieces add together are why you do it or why you shouldn't do it anymore. Right? Like,
Yeah. That's so true, man.
I don't know of
Like
an expectation chart, though. I've never.
you're a matrix.
I'll give it a quick
Quick goog.
a quick Goog and a quick duck go, and we'll see. Matrix.
Expectations.
I'll search a expectation chart matrix just to Cover all the bases.
Like, I expect Heather at the least will go out to dinner with friends once every 2 weeks. She always has. She always will. She thinks it's the coolest thing. When she was a girl, watching her parents go out to dinner and then come back late, she thought it was the coolest thing. So I don't care. She expects me to see a movie once a month. And it's just like when those things happen, it's just like I, I expected it to.
Like you expect to go to a movie on your own once a month,
Yeah.
or she expects you to go with her to a movie once a month.
Me to go by myself. Like if I tell her, like it's been a while, but like if I tell her like any day now, I'm gonna go see a movie tonight. Shh, of course, it's been a while.
Right.
Uh, and if she tells me, you know, tomorrow that she's going out to dinner, I'll be like, yeah, you didn't
But
yet
then
this week.
if you go to a movie once a week, say 4 times a month, is that then a big impact to the expectations?
No, but that would be really rare. It would be like, and it would be like, well, this is just an exception. There's a lot of good movies out all at once, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I would say, hey, I think I would like to go see more movies, but
Right.
I don't. I'm good with once a month.
It's probably enough.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
mean, my thing
not
is,
even that probably.
I think I'm more concerned about the expectations of, you know, of each other more than the expectations of like what something I might need or want to do. Right. Like we do this podcast. I say I want to do this podcast, and Kelly actively asked me, "Oh, are you doing a podcast that night? Oh, are you doing a podcast this night? Or
Mhm.
when's the next podcast? Like when's your next whatever?" Right. So I don't know. I don't know if that fits in for expectations. It could be more, especially if they're arguing about it.
Yeah, I was just
I would
giving
think
like
it
an
would.
off the top of my head example.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not talking like sex once a week or like more intimate shit
Right. Yeah.
than like, our freedom schedule.
Or like who? Yeah. Right. A freedom schedule.
Or
That's what he should look up. A freedom schedule.
escape clauses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know with the trauma and everything. That's way over my head, so I'm not even going to comment on that. Um, and I'd never seen an expectation chart. I guess if we find one, we'll send it to that post. But
I think, and this is pretty old school and golden rule-ish and standard, but the only way to work through bad communication is to work on your communication.
yeah, well, no, I get it,
Communicating that you are having a hard time communicating.
but if you're
Like,
communicating, you could be talking, right? But you could be
right.
saying two different things, and you could also be agreeing on two different things
Yeah, that
at
one's
the end of it,
weird where
right?
it's like we're on the same page, but we read different stories.
Yeah,
Like that's
because you're
tough
coming from
because
different
I've been
perspectives,
there.
right? Yeah.
Like that's happened to me before where it's like, okay, ready, break. And then it's like, oh, I thought it was a run play and you threw me the ball.
Right, right.
Uh,
That's
it's
exactly what
like,
happens. Yeah.
it's like, no, 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 I meant this, this, this. So it's like, and this is a cool thing that Jewish people do. And I wonder if it's, they want to be sure we're all on the same page because they say the same thing. They all do it and they don't even know they're doing it, but they all do it. They say the same thing 4 different ways, almost in the same breath, just to make sure that like whatever they're telling you, there's no misconceptions.
Hmm. That's an interesting.
It's annoying when you see it coming, like, oh, I'm going to hear this 3 more times. And you just kind of have to hold your breath and sit through it. But the message is received.
I mean, I guess it's good to kind of regurgitate
It's like
what
the
was
Chris
said to
Rock
you,
thing.
and you have to be like, this is what I think you're saying right now. I've done
Mm-hmm.
that a few times, and it comes, and it's so funny because I'd say 95% of the time I repeat it back, and I go, "Is that what you mean?" And it's a flat no. No, that's not even in the ballpark of what I was trying to say. And I was like, well, that's good. That's good. At least I
I'm
said it.
glad
You
I
know,
brought it up.
I'm glad I said something. Otherwise, I would have been like, all right, like we're all good.
See, what I'll
Everything's
do
great.
is, well, I don't do this with Heather, but I used to do this with others. I would know we were on the same page I mean, I would know we weren't on the same page because I knew once we were to get, if we were to get on the same page, then I would be like not happy. So I would like leave this little window for like, oh, I didn't get it. So I would repeat back
Oh, geez.
what
Okay.
she would say, but like change a word or leave a word out to where
Yeah.
there's still kind of like a loophole.
Right.
That didn't last. I
And
mean,
then just,
that
yeah,
always came back.
that seems like a trick that would expose itself after maybe the third time. It'd be like,
Yeah,
wait, so
it's like,
you again didn't get it? And it's like, no,
yeah,
just,
it was like this keeps happening, but then then it can get uglier. It's like what keeps happening?
yeah, right.
Like there's always a counter.
I will say, I read that book, that 80/80 marriage book, and it was good,
Oh yeah.
but it had exercises at the end. And some of the exercises were kind of based around communication and things like that. So like, where you'd actually fill them out together. So in that case, it was like a form that you would go through and fill out. It focused on finances a lot in the beginning. And so some of them were like, what do you think the most important thing we should spend money on is, or something like that, and so you'd fill them out separately and then bring it together to kind of discuss it, so if you're like, food for the house and paying the
Mhm.
mortgage or something like
Yeah,
that,
that's a big one.
and she's like, you know cappuccino,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
you're like cappuccino, right? it
Or
it's
like I mean that's why I pulled what I pulled. Like
or season tickets to
dinner
the Marlins or something.
dinner with the
It's like,
ladies once
oh,
every 2 weeks, and a movie once a month. It's like
right.
those little financial things. It's like as annoying or whatever ugly it can be discussing finances. It's just a necessity. You kind of like, hey, there's no way around it unless you're a billionaire.
Well, it's also kind of interesting that that she needs it, right? Like, look, it costs money, but I'm glad
This
that
is
you're
life.
going out. I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
you to have that social
This
thing
is
because it
living.
makes you happier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else are we holding it onto it for, right? So,
Right.
all right, we got one more. You want to finish it off? This one's
Sure.
gross. Um,
Yes.
this one
Good
looks
job saving it for
really.
last.
This one looks really gross. It is. It's. It's like a medium to long. But just the title of it, I mean, maybe it could be a dud, but we'll see. The
I would say strong to quite strong.
this is the this is the
So you know what
title.
I'm talking about. I got it straight. Whoa, what a title. It's like Harley Quinn. Constant disrespect, name calling, and blames. Tired of getting sucked into negativity and pleasing this one person in my life. Can get better.
I'm 31 years old, male, and I'm suffering. My physical and mental health has taken a toll. My social game is almost zero and fully dependent on her. I feel resentment for her more than love. I used to be happy, smart, and confident person with good professional career and healthy circle of friends. Since I've gotten married 2.5 years ago, I have lost myself in the quest to make this relationship work. I am depressed, so is my wife. She blames it all on me and calls me of victim mentality. Literally, her sister got laid off from work and she tried to put that on me. Her mom got sick in India and she tried to put that on me. She blames me for everything and I am tired. We both are from India, currently living in the US. Did love marriage, I guess that instead of a arranged marriage, are from different community
I
and
was going
religion.
to say, this
In
sounds like an Indian.
Yeah, there's no articles in these, so it's kind of difficult to read in parts. Are from different community and religions in India. We dated for 3 years before getting married. We used to fight for hours then also, but on different topics. My wife does not approve of me, my family, my mom and brother's family, my upbringing, my community, and now my religion. Basically, everything me. She wants, bullet number one, me to change myself. She sees
So
herself in
Indian.
her and sees her. I think, I mean, it is, but it's also kind of, I mean, some of it I think I might not understand as far as like social status and things like that are weird things. She sees her
Right.
she sees herself and her family above me and my family in all aspects. because they almost have like in some cases they have like a feudal system depending on where everybody's raised and what's going on. So it's
It's alien compared to us.
well in I still remember the commercials in India. It was a lot of skin whitening commercials. So where you'd have a Neutrogena commercial, and you'd have self tanner, and they'd be like, "Oh, look how tan my skin is! It's so vibrant and lush." Well, they'd have the same. It would be the same exact commercial, but it would be skin lightening cream. Which would probably get. Wait, live broadcast ends in 6 seconds. What's happening? Stop it.
No, don't do
No.
it. It says we're still going.
Yeah.
Have you read
Was that just like a fake out? What was
have you read, I mean, that's so weird, dude. Like we have fake tanner, they have fake whitener.
Yeah.
The Dr. Seuss story, the Sneetches.
Sneetches gets
Sneetches.
stitches? What is
Sneetches gets Sneetches.
Stitches?
No, it's like this island of these weird creatures, and some of them have stars on their bellies and some don't.
Hmm.
And the ones with stars think they're like, they're
They're like
snobby.
better. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And so then this guy comes into town. He's like, I can put a star on your belly. So he sells, the stars to the non-star bellied, and they all get stars. So then the ones with stars are like, I don't want. And then the guy's like, well, I can take your star off. So then they get the star, and it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And then finally, everybody's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And they all have like different ones on their bellies, and they have moons, and they have them on their butts, and at the end, and everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy because
It's like, why do we want to be like the other one that we're not? Like, why do we want to be like the one that we are not? It's so weird.
yeah.
It's just so funny.
Well, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I know we were that way. We were almost the same way as India was for a while, because it was basically, the whiter, the more clearer, whiter skin you had meant that you weren't working out in the sun.
Right.
Was basically it. And I think that was the same
Royalty.
from royalty times, right? So
It was like if you had abs, you were like, ugh.
yeah,
It's like you work all day in the fields, you're ripped. Gross.
seriously, you would search for somebody who was fat and had powder. That's why they would Well, I think there was also the, what do you call, not chlamydia, but whatever, the syphilis. So that's also why they would have the powdered wigs and stuff like that. But they'd have like, they'd powder their faces to be, whiter, and then they gorge themselves to be fat, because that meant that you weren't working. Basically, everything led up to not working. And I think it was until like the Chanel family or something popularized tanning, because
Coco.
their daughter went out and got tan one summer or something like that, which wasn't a good thing. So then they ran a campaign to make it, that, oh no, that's actually healthy. And so then all the advertisements started coming out that everybody would have to be tan to
Balls.
be healthy.
Good for them, man. That's such a move. No, 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 no. This is cool. The thing that we did,
Peeing
and
your
everyone's
pants
gonna
is the
buy it,
coolest.
and the world bought it.
Yeah, the world bought it. So now everybody tans, and
Now everybody just plays, you know, plays fencing with cancer.
yeah, fencing.
Whatever.
All right,
Everybody
so
duels with cancer.
duels. Um, what did she say? Okay, in all aspects of education, social status, intelligence, etc. She calls me. Hold on. She calls me red forest, full of red flags. For example, yesterday while we were walking, she said, "If a lion shows up, what would I do?" I said, "We should both run together." She said, "Right answer is that you will protect me by fighting the lion." I continued saying that, "How can I fight a lion?" She said, "That shows you can't protect me."
I mean, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, look,
Aesop's fables.
we've all had a lion conversation with our wives. I mean, let's
It's
not.
like, you have to be past metaphors by now. That's like first date stuff. I
I don't
mean, I
know if
know
it's
it's not
meta.
really a
I mean,
lion.
it could
You're
be.
metaphorically talking about a lion. No, we're in India, moron. There's lions. No. Oh yeah, it is the desert.
There might be lions. I don't know if I know there's
Not in the jungle.
elephants walking around, but I don't know if there's lions. Um, yeah, there's probably an Indian lion that's probably. I saw an Indian tiger, and it was like twice
Yeah,
the size of our
Bengal.
tiger, the African
Yeah,
tiger.
they're
Um,
freaks.
they're big, and the zoo that I was at was it was like an IKEA version of a
Yeah, huge
fence
cat
that was
food.
between me and that cat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if the cat wasn't so malnourished, it would have been pretty dangerous.
So bad. Yeah, but
It was almost like they had the zoo in a place that used to be something else. Like I think it was another amusement park, and it's almost like there was a merry-go-round, and then they just kind of put bars on the outside of it, and they're like, "All right, this is where we're going to keep the
yeah,
tiger." And it's like this doesn't
yeah. But
seem
dude, you know what? If unless you're a sea creature, I gotta think that a zoo is pretty sweet for an animal, because they're like, yo, I don't have any predators. I'm like the only one of my kind that isn't like fucking this all day.
true. Yeah.
It is kind of like, well, it could be I'm gonna die maybe today all the time.
Well,
That's
yeah,
got to be
right.
worse. It's like it's a shame they're not really aware. It's like, yo, guess what, guys? Half of you would be dead already if you were out in the wild.
I always feel like
And it would
that's
have been
why.
stupid, a dumb death, not like a bullet to the head. It
Yeah,
would be a crappy, long death.
yeah. You wouldn't have made it to 2, and you would have had to watch something eat you
Yeah. Your
while you just
face
like
off.
laid there. You're like, I'm not dead yet. Could you just finish this? I know you're really tired after that hunt, but could you
But
just
that was
please?
just my legs. I'm
Yeah,
completely alive from the waist up.
I feel all of this. Can you just please? Like, I know you're winded.
Oh,
You did a great job.
yeah, all right. You
But
caught
can you
me.
just finish this, please?
Oh, it's so insane. All right.
It's nuts. But I always feel like that's why all the cats are insane, especially at our zoo. Like I feel like they have all the cats right next to each other. I'm sure they can like smell each other, or they change, what room they're in, and the other one
Yeah.
just smells like some other cat, and they
Yeah,
just
and they're
always seem like they're so
like,
tense.
no, no, no.
Yeah,
Get rid of them. It has to be me or the three of them,
yeah.
not all four of us.
It's like I'm pretty sure
This
the
is my
snow
island.
leopards and the African lions are not hanging out together very often. They're probably like what the hell is that smell?
Why is he
You know?
sweating all the time? Oh, that's right. It's not the Arctic.
He's like, oh my god, it's so hot. It's so freaking hot. We did go to
No.
when we were in North Carolina.
Please.
We went to I guess it's like the biggest zoo in America. It's like a big safari almost, and they just have tons and tons of room. Feels kind of like
Where?
Jurassic Park in North
Where did you
Carolina.
go?
It's like by
Where?
Raleigh,
What was it called?
North Carolina Zoo. I don't know.
No, you don't know the name of the town.
It was near Raleigh.
Oh, okay.
It's like right there. Raleigh is like I guess a city, but when you go to it, it's
It's quaint.
Doylestown has higher
Yeah,
buildings. It's
it's
not.
like a miniature little tiny town. It's like
Yeah,
Manionk's, whatever that is, Main Street, I guess.
yeah. It was. Yeah, but it's spread out more.
Yeah. I was gonna say, but
It's
it's
a
like a
grid, but
square.
you're in and out of it in 2
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah. You can walk through it.
I was worried about parking, and we got there. I was like, no, there's nobody here. You can park wherever you want. And it's like a quarter.
I like it
I was
there.
just used to my version of a city. Like it was going to be intense. I was going to have to like really focus on the
You
direction.
can walk.
I drive up on one way and everyone would hate me or something, but it was
Now that's like
very,
on the
very low
outskirts.
key. Yeah. All right. This guy, I don't. Okay. So he failed the lion quiz. Also, how has he not learned to just lie to her at this point?
We would both run. Well, it's gonna catch you.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Stupid.
not a great tactic.
I would jump in
You know,
front of you.
I'm kind of on her side with this one.
Super.
'Cause
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he blew that one,
we
but
both
still,
run,
it's like what? Why does the okay? What is the lion representing?
right? Are you going to
Bitch.
run in the same direction?
All right. Either way, he'll catch you both.
Are you a faster runner than her? Because that kind of sounds like you're going to let her die. So I'm kind
Right.
of,
It'll be like Ray and Star Wars, like let go of my hand. Stop holding my hand. I'm
holding
more
my
skilled
hand.
than you are.
Yeah. Another example of red flag. On her birthday, after we went out for a nice dinner, we were invited by our friends for a movie night. When we arrived, our friend had prepared 2 cocktails for us, and I didn't feel like drinking a cocktail. So I said, I don't feel like drinking. You both should drink. I already had a drink with my wife in the restaurant. This offended my partner so much that we fought for 6 hours over it, as one thing led to another. Am I a red flag? On
Yes.
one, I guess, hand.
Anyone who argues for 6 hours is a red flag, especially over something so dumb.
On one
Like,
hand,
I
you
don't
are.
want the drink. Okay, no problem. How do you have the energy to argue that
Oh
long
no!
because you didn't want to
Hold on,
drink?
hold on. Let me read this next one. I get it. This next sentence will completely make all of this make sense. On one hand, you are a feminist. On the other hand, you want me to fight a lion to protect you. So, oh wait, is she the feminist or is he the feminist? On the other hand, do you want me to fight a
She.
lion to protect you?
Right. Like he's saying, like, you're a feminist, but you still want a man to protect you from a lion. Like,
She
you're a feminist, but you still want me to hold the door for you.
I don't know if I don't understand this red flag stuff. I kind of would ask her, I'm like, what are you talking about red
Red
flags?
flag
You're
means like
married.
warning.
Like the red flags are supposed to
I
prevent you from.
know.
Do you understand
I'm
what a
like,
red flag is?
this
Like
is all pre-marriage talk that they should have had, that they should not even be like
they should have had a
joking about.
they should have
Like,
had
it would be a funny inside joke, like, oh, that's a red flag, but it would just to be a joke. Like, it's just funny.
but she's calling him a red forest because there's so
Yes.
many red
A
flags out.
million red flags. Like,
But that's a
so
warning.
why
It's
did
like
you marry a
you're
million
already
red
in the
flags?
air. Like
It's
all
over.
of the warnings were going off at takeoff. Why did you? Why are you in the air? What?
Maybe she's saying like these are like husband red flags. Like, now that we're married, there's like all these red flags popping up that I didn't see before. But dude, the thing
There's
about like she thinks her family is better than me. How do you know she thinks that? Did he say like she said, your family sucks and they're low class and mine's better? If that was the case, I'd be like, okay, then I don't think this will last because I can't be with someone who thinks they're better than me. That's insane.
yeah.
Like, on that level, like that. But maybe that's normal over there. I don't know.
He's sounding like a little bit like a bitch, though.
He is a red flag. He
Like,
argued with his friend for 6 hours over a drink. That's crazy.
well, he fought with his wife. I think he said
Partner.
this offended my partner. I think he's saying
His
his wife.
business partner.
I
Oh, I
don't
thought
think
he
his
went to a I
partner.
thought he went to a partner or a party with his business partner cuz
I think he's just run out of words to call his wife. So
he
I think,
can't. He's like, I don't want to say wife anymore. It's like,
yeah, because
pronouns, pal.
he said our friend had prepared 2 It's so weird.
Our friend. Okay, so I thought he meant his partner. So
Here's a drink. Oh, I don't feel like it. What?
drink.
Like,
Eat a damn cookie. I mean, like, it is the origin of one of the longest running jokes of our life. It's like, why would you force someone to eat food? Have you not seen To Kill a Mockingbird? Back off. It's a personal thing. Someone's shoving a thing into their mouth. That's not something anybody else decides.
right.
God,
And what's wrong with
trauma.
not having a cocktail? It's like, well, they mixed it. It's like, okay.
I'll have it. I'll have it. More for me.
Well,
I gotta
that's what he
put up
said.
with you, red flag forest, anyway.
He said he's not stopping her from drinking. But he sounds
Of
very
course.
like beta, like very like
He does
oh,
sound a
like,
little.
like just
I mean, again, he came on here. And he did have bullet points, and it's like, dude, just get out. Like it's like, dude, you should see the forest of red flags. Like this girl and you are just not. She's not laid back enough to handle you because I
Yeah.
think you seem to be a handful.
And all around, stop using red flags because you're not using it right. So just stop it.
Yeah, right. Like
You're already together. These are problems.
these flags, you
This is your
burned by
life
them. They're on fire now. They're burnt.
You have to deal with them. It's not like you have an out. And then so
That's another funny one. It's like married couple referring to each other, referring to things about them as red flags. It's like you don't get to use that anymore. The red flags are before you get married.
right,
That's why they're red flags.
right.
Don't get married.
And you're only supposed to get like one or two of them, and that's good enough. Then you should be out.
I just got the 10% warning from my headphone. And this one is not charging for some cool reason.
Well, we'll go. I'll give the. Let me fly through it real quick.
Yeah.
She wants to move to a different city or have nothing to do with my side of the family. My mom and brother family lives 10 minutes away. My brother moved to this city since he got a remote job and wanted to be closer to me. My wife basically wants to have no relationship with my brother's family because they are not her type. And my sister-in-law gossips when my wife and her are left alone. Since January 2024. Okay.
It's funny thinking about different types of other countries. It's like, well, I thought they're just a billion of all the same kind.
Of course, of course not, right? Like it's all
funny. It's like, oh yeah, they all have stupid little groups like we do.
Right. That's always what upsets me when people are like, well, white people. And I'm like, do you think we all get along? It's really
check
hard.
Out that thing called the Civil War. That was all us, and we drug everyone else into it.
And before all that, all we were doing, like,
no,
it depends how far back you want to go, right?
Recent one.
When the Irish were killing the new Irish, right? I mean, it's like, okay, sure, whatever.
Vikings.
Nobody gets along. That's the general thing, and we should just be happy that for some reason we are getting along.
It's a miracle.
And if we all just put down our phones, we'll probably get along even more, even better.
We're that close. We're that close. It's like one little step.
Yeah, one little step. Just go out, talk to your neighbors, give them a hug, cook them something. Enjoy each other's cultures. Stop hiding it. Stop telling you one's better than another.
One small sacrifice for man. One giant leap
for mankind.
For
mankind,
from a man. For mankind. Not women, though.
Nope. Except for it does stand for
still in the Stone Age. You'll never be in charge.
Human, right? Like that's where it comes from. So sorry.
Like
we'll just forget that for a little bit, though.
Oh, is the matriarchy dead? No, we're just good at making everybody think it's dead. We're just better at making everybody think it's dead.
All right. Since January 2024, she has met my brother's family 3 times, and on all occasions we have fought later because of something my sister-in-law gossiped about. Oh. She wants me to see my mom on an as-need basis, or very rarely. My mom was abroad for 6 months and came back 3 weeks ago. My wife has not met her or called her even once, not even on her birthday.
I should stick to arranged marriages. This one seems like rushed and not thought through.
Yeah, how is this a love marriage?
No in common. It's like at least the parents like know each other beforehand, and that can like help break the ice.
Well, there's also nothing that says, everything was good until, everything was great, and then we got married and everything changed. Like there's nothing to go off of. It's just like
it's like going off love is neat when you're a teenager, and then life keeps going.
Like, were you even attracted to each other? It doesn't sound like you were even attracted to each other. You hate her mom. Know each other.
That's why she's using red flag. It's like, no, but you should have known all this. Well, I just met him.
So due to difference in cultures, my mom said some things 2.5 years ago at the time of marriage related to how certain ceremonies should happen, or at a certain instance, my mom corrected my wife. Eventually, we got married. How we got married how me and my wife wanted to, but my wife is unable
Yeah.
to move on. She went okay, so something happened at the wedding or the
They got.
planning of
I
the wedding.
thought
I mean,
like,
those weddings are like 5, 6 days,
yeah,
7 days. It's like nuts.
they're insane.
She wants my mom to apologize to her. At the same time, she wants me to maintain a super loving relationship with her parents who are in India, and we should go visit them a month, spending all our vacation time on them. My family lives close by. We have never invited them over for a single meal at my house. They never drop by uninvited, have never intervened in our marriage, but my wife does not like them because of who they are and that they are not welcomed here. Yeah, I don't have any friends outside our common friends. I don't go anywhere because she likes this guy's a dumb dumb.
Dude, I mean, you can't take that.
She calls me a terrorist because of my religion. Is his religion like
Oh, geez.
Nazism? he's like
Harsh.
he's like just because I joined Hamas, like it's not a big deal. Like what's the big deal? Your mom wants
Um,
ew, ew.
what?
It's okay, so I I don't even want to read any more of this. I don't want to read any more of this.
I can't believe how long it is. That isn't what she said, apparently.
Is
Another one
he
of those red flags.
is he Jewish if he goes to temple? Would that be Jewish then? Are there any other religions that go to temple?
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, the sneeze is not going to happen.
Oh, this might be like
Temple.
an Israel thing then, I guess, because she's also saying that he's a terrorist because of his religion.
I mean,
I mean, this escalated quickly at the end of this thing. I don't even want to go into half
yeah.
what he's saying. It just seems like you don't like each other. Like I don't know what like, just run away,
Yes.
please, God. Like
I,
I'm not one for divorce, but like I don't even know what this is.
I am. I am totally up for divorce because these people don't belong together. And like, what are they going to do? Just live
This
in
is
their
gonna end in
weird
murder.
misery? Like,
This is
get
gonna end
out of
in murder.
here. You made a mistake. I don't know what you were thinking. It feels like a rebellion that didn't pay off the way you thought it was going to, because you didn't do an arranged marriage, because somehow that's still a thing that maybe still works over there. Because this one, it seems like you're so wrong for each other. If my wife called me a terrorist because of my religion, or a molester because of my
Yeah,
religion,
right.
I would be like, never again. And then if she called me red flag forest, I'd be like, divorce papers.
But it would be a good.
We chopped down that
It's
forest,
not
and
a
here's some divorce papers.
it's not a terrible nickname.
It's
It's
funny.
a stupid name, but it's Red Flag
Red,
Forest sounds kind of
red flag
cool.
forest.
Like
RFF.
it would be a good like username or something.
That
But
is.
this
It
guy
is
also
kind of
just seems
like.
like a pansy. Like, why are you taking all this? Like this, like,
I,
what do you want? Out of like, all you're saying is like, oh, she doesn't like this. She doesn't like this. She doesn't like my family. She doesn't like. Who are you?
dude, it just seems like people who dated for a little while, and they were like, we don't want to do arranged marriages, so let's just do it for love. And then they got married, and they're like, okay, now we're married, and like, you're on your best behavior in the beginning. And then the real world just kicks you to your knees, and it'll keep you there, like Rocky says, and you have to fight through it. And it seems like they're not even there yet. They're like on this, like, well, they're fighting over their own families. She doesn't like his family. It's kind of part of the deal.
That's a
I'm
huge
gonna
deal.
leave
That's a
them
huge deal.
unless I hate them. So I'm not going to. So also goodbye.
Especially if in
Our
the
kids.
in this case that the family is important to you, right? Like it
That's what I'm saying. Unless you're like, feuding with your family, as DeWitt would say, or you don't want your children to know your parents as their
I don't
grandparents
think they even have kids. Hopefully they don't have kids.
if they eventually do.
Dear God.
I don't know what the rules are over there.
Just go away. You don't seem to like each other. Like I don't like there's nothing here. Um
Can it get better? It can get better if you divorce her and marry someone who marries you for you, or marry someone
she's also saying you're dumb. You've
whose
got a
like
lower social
family
status.
life is similar to yours.
I don't like your religion. Like how did you even get like part of this is just like how dumb are you? Maybe
It's
you are dumb.
foolishness.
Maybe you are dumb.
It's blind, and it like again, it sounds like he was doing something for the wrong reason, and now it's like, oh, but wait, I forgot the result is something I have to live with.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
And maybe she did too. Like she's
Waking
like,
up
who the?
now.
And she's almost like, yeah, we're married, but like you suck. But she's not also like, I don't think we should stay married. It's just like, this is terrible. You're a red flag forest.
You know
I'm
what this
stuck with
sounds
you now.
this sounds like those fights that you'd hear from, roommates like in college with their girlfriends that would just go on and on and on
Yeah,
and you'd eventually talk to them and then the next day they'd be hanging out and be perfectly fine and you'd be like, can you just break up?
it was like Rye and Jen in college. It was like you have Armageddon every weekend. How do you keep going back to this?
Yeah.
Good that you did. Some of them like enjoy that, I guess.
I mean, they probably found a better way, but in this case, it just seems like this is just toxic. But also,
Unprepared,
I don't want to just side
unprepared
with the guy.
lovers.
Like, get out. Like, you're being abused. Like, it just
No,
we're in
I'm
a
just like,
marriage,
you're
dude.
not a
Like,
good match, man. She doesn't seem to really like you or anything about you.
well,
That's not what we're going for.
there's no agreement. There's no uh, you know, well,
Compromise.
compromise. Thank you. Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
compromise at all. But also,
yeah.
I don't hear what you're like. You're like, I guess you're saying you want your family to come and you want to go to church. Okay.
And dude, I kept thinking that that was done, but it kept going. So wordy, like you said. So like, shut up,
I
dude.
did skip a paragraph in here because it
But
was.
like I'm saying, it's just like, God, man, that's just so much. Like, shut up. Like,
She apparently used to go to brunch
get
with
this
her
taken
ex
care of.
friend and friends. Where do you sit on that one?
Wait, say it again.
She used to go to Sunday brunches with her ex boyfriend and friends. This guy just doesn't have like any. There's no doesn't have
You didn't.
any leash on any of this. Not that
It,
he needs to put a leash on her, but I'm just saying like he doesn't have
you didn't.
anything surrounding control of the situation.
No, no, and like it goes back to like the expectation matrix. It's like this is not longer a part of your. This is no longer a part of your life.
Yeah.
Going and hanging out with exes. We're married.
Stop.
That part's done. Unless you would like to not be married,
I can understand
go do that.
having trouble merging on religions. Like if you want your religion, eventually you got to figure it out for kids and stuff like what you're going to do. But I could see that operating separately, respectfully, but separately. And then the insults, well, insults come. I could see the insults. They're terrible. They're stupid insults. And the funniest thing is if she's calling you like stupid and stuff like that. I mean, the best comeback you have is like, all right, but you married me, so what does that make you?
All right, who's the fool? The fool or the fool who follows him? Obi-Wan
Thank
Kenobi.
you. From a
It's
certain
like,
point.
well, both of you then.
Yeah. I mean,
From a certain point of
you're,
view.
you're 31, so
From
I feel like you're
you.
still in your 20s. You're still in your 20s.
Yeah. Like back up put the car back in park
They
and
dated
set a
3
new
years before getting
map.
married, they said here. 3
Holy
years.
shit.
So 3 years
That's a lot of time.
and been married 2.5. So 5.5 years ago would put them at 26-ish.
Oh. Again, these morons. It's like the one thing that I am proud of the youth. It's like they
Again,
really pulled the brake,
um,
and they are really, I know, I'm just being, it's like, there's just, you have so much time before before, before like you, I don't want to say like are better, but like that'll be there. It'll be there.
well,
I
you
mean,
could
unless
figure out what
something
you want
traumatic happens.
earlier, right? Like you can, but
Yeah,
you should
of
spend
course.
some
And
time
fall in love.
figuring out what you want because you got to live with you the whole time. And you're about to
Yes.
get somebody who's going to also have to live with you. So unless you start figuring out you shouldn't really be running around looking for somebody,
I'm just
right?
like,
Because you don't even
it's
know
like,
what you
yo,
are yet.
before you expect someone to deal with you every day, go practice on how not to be a shithead with a whole bunch of other people that you're
Really
not
practice.
going to. Like really find out what's like cool and what isn't.
Yeah.
That helps.
It is tough. I mean, the other thing is he could have maybe had relationships that didn't prepare him for this relationship. So maybe he was in, I don't know, something worse than this. Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know, like he was dating,
It's interesting that if he is
Chris
Jewish and
or
she
something. I
isn't,
don't know.
then he was definitely not prepared for another, religion. I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want to talk for him. I don't know who he is, but like, if you grow up in religion, Jewish religion, that's what you know. And if
Right.
you venture out to another one, it's going to look different than yours because, yours
Yeah.
is pretty distinct.
I wish I just would have known what the dumb thing was that they ignored, and for what reason. Like if they just wanted to go against their family and be like, we're doing a love marriage, not an arranged marriage or something, just to prove everyone wrong. And then this happens and they're like, I don't know why this isn't working. And it's like, well, because people know things. People have experience. And maybe, just maybe, you're only 25 and you don't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You gotta fall down more.
Anyway, I don't
Before
really
you.
like the guy though, so I'm not really rooting for him. I don't like how he wrote. It sounds like baby talk.
Yeah, she needs to be like, never mind.
Watch this be funny.
Peace.
I would actually really like to have a conversation with her because it would be really funny. And like, I bet there's another side to each one of these stories where,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, I know.
I want to hear the rest of the story where it's like, no, we showed up to the party. He offered us drinks, and you said that I had too many drinks at the dinner, and then you were already wasted, and you took your shirt off and jumped in their pool, and that's why you didn't have the cocktail, and that's why
Right,
we fought for 6 hours,
like a
or
giant section missing.
or you started making out with one of your ex-girlfriends at the party and it really embarrassed me. It's like all,
Right.
all the stuff that he's leaving out, like he's like a
She's like,
pathological
I've
liar.
never said red flag forest. That's from your weird Magic the Gathering game that you play.
I've never said any of those things.
Right.
Your parents can come over, we've invited them and they don't show up. It's like, anyway, whatever.
And the one time they did show up, they took the bread that they brought.
They took the bread. They took their babka, their chocolate babka. We're just sprinkling Seinfeld references throughout these shows. It's funny.
I know. That's my goal. That's like
Ah,
if I do have one like weird hidden goal on this, is to jam as many Seinfeld references as possible, without really forcing it.
brother, that was a fast 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe 2.5 plus 1 minute that was lost to the interwebs. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe
We
it's still there. Who knows?
we gave it to them.
We just gave it to the ether.
I know. I'm excited to check the YouTube channel and see what has posted.
Oh, we got a comment. You pick up the trees, the trees, the trees. I don't know when that was from. That was from a half hour ago, probably when we started this thing. You pick up the trees, the trees, the trees. I don't. All right.
That was from Mrs. Fisher.
Oh,
Mrs. Fisher, Clark like tried to throw out his lunch and like half of it spilled on the floor and missed the trash.
oh.
And Fisher came over to him and said, "You will pick up the peas, and the peas." And so then we always like just rhyme it with other things because it's like, after I get the peas, then what do I do? It's like, why did you say it 3 times? All right, brother.
All right. See you next week.
Good show, brother. Love you, man. We gotta go.
See ya.